York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome to a Wednesday morning edition of the Gary Sutton Show right here on WOYK. We are the Main Street of York and the only local talk show right here in the area of York County. And so glad to be with you this morning. Mark McKenzie is here this morning, ready to kick proverbial butt today.
I just hoping not to see another shower for a few hours.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need that right now. I think probably enough is enough. You can turn me up just a little bit, Mark. But I'm tired of the rain. I'm just tired of it, frankly. It is the 2nd of July here, 70 degrees out, a sultry 70 degrees. You can feel the moisture in the air as you walk across Brooks Robinson Plaza.
Yes.
So bad Brooks is holding up an umbrella with his non-glove hand. It's terrible.
It is. But this is and these are some of the more violent storms.
Yeah, there's a violence to it. We don't like that. We want a gentle mist every now and then that lasts for 5 minutes and then gets out of here.
You see the flooding, some of the flooding in like Manheim,
right.
Lancaster County.
Oh, that was amazing. I saw the one in Manheim last night, and the girl was showing where she had been underwater for a while, and so not good.
So, but finally, a useful spot for a canoe.
Again, I don't need that. We don't need canoes.
I don't like canoes, but
if you wanted to use it,
that would be it.
Yeah. Where you would not want to use it would be, at Alligator Alcatraz.
Yes.
I don't want it down there.
Remember the couple in Florida?
Yeah, that couple in Florida where
the guy lost his life.
He lost his wife.
Almost his life.
Yeah, and the alligator banged the canoe, knocked him out of the canoe, and then it was just terrible. Yeah,
it's unstable.
It is. Thank you. But anyway, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's see, we got the Diddy thing is almost decided. We have a new big beautiful bill that's headed back to the House now, where it's uncertain as to whether or not the House will pass it in its present form, that being that of the Senate. And what happens on that, by the way, just to give you a little bit of the ABC thing that you used to watch on
Primer.
Yeah, a little primer. I'm just a bill. Remember that we used to watch that on Saturday mornings?
Yes.
And so what happens now is you send it back to the House. The House votes on that bill.
Well, that's because the House passed
their original.
But a lot of that, I shouldn't say.
Well, the Senate changed a number of things pretty drastically. In fact, the debt ceiling, some of the rules they had for Medicaid and things like that. And so now what happens is, so you take the original House bill on which they voted. You now make changes to that. Okay, now it's obviously not the same bill that the House voted on initially.
It's the Senate's version.
So it's the Senate version, the updated version of that bill that they voted on, and they got it through yesterday by the narrowest of margins, 50-50, and J.D. Vance, who also is, in addition to being the Vice President of the United States, is President of the Senate.
Yeah, we mentioned that the day before. Probably what it would have.
And he voted, and obviously on the affirmative. So now it goes back to the House. So now obviously the House has to say, okay, we agree with the changes that the Senate made on our bill, and we will vote that through. Or they say, no, we still like our bill more, and so they vote down the Senate bill. And if they vote down the Senate bill, what you in essence now have are two separate bills. And what you then do is you go to what we call a conference committee. And the conference committee is made up of an equal number of senators and representatives who work on what we call really a compromise bill between the two. And they come up with that. That then has to be voted on both houses of Congress, again, by the House, by the Senate. And if they agree to the compromise bill, they now send that on to the desk of the President of the United States, who then must agree with the changes that were made. And if he signs it, it becomes a law. If he does not sign it, it goes back again for more consideration. But that we'll get to that when we get to that. But that's the whole abbreviated process of what happens next. So we have that going on. We got the Kohlberger case out in Idaho. Remember the guy 3 years ago, or 4 years ago almost now, who killed the 4 college students right there, stabbed them, and ended up being from Pennsylvania here. And they caught him in Pennsylvania a few weeks later. He has now, before his trial starts here in a few weeks, has come to a plea deal where he will not be up for the death penalty, but he has managed. He's gonna plead guilty to all 4 charges, and that's that. And then he goes to prison. Now, families who are the victims are in an uproar about, well, what about our rights here? Shouldn't we have been called to at least consider some of this stuff in some way, shape, or form? And so they're raising questions.
Is it life without parole, or?
It's 4 different life sentences.
Right. So their considerations were for the death penalty.
Yeah, and what would have happened was that would have been on the table.
And
in Idaho, the death penalty, by the way, that has been added is firing squad.
Right.
So
So I was just going to say.
Right. So he escapes that, but and he's going to be going to court today to officially do that. Now, I guess the court. I don't know if the court has the right to say no. We don't want that. We don't approve of that deal. I don't know if they can do that or not.
I think that's why it's going to the judge.
I think so, because there is some choice.
Yes.
And obviously, the judge is going to have read about the furor by a lot of these people, family members, and associated people around them, and maybe even the country. So we'll have some of that today as well. Jerry, not Jerry. Who's the pastor? The preacher.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Swaggart passed away at 90.
He went on to meet his maker.
Yeah. Does anyone still give money to these guys?
Oh, sure.
And if you ever did give money to them, why?
Human nature is a constant array.
Not in my house, and I don't give money to people that I don't know what.
It's a big world.
Yeah, exactly. But Jimmy Swaggart died. I remember most of his sermons after he got caught with a prostitute in a hotel or whatever became this crying thing. There's no crying. Stop it. I can see Tom Hanks. Yeah, but every single preaching that he did was like a crying thing.
Appealing to people's empathy.
Yeah, keep sending money because I'm hurting right now. No, I never had. Forgive me, please, but I never had a lot of empathy for that. Okay, you did it. Be accountable. Stand up. Say, hey, please forgive me.
I think he's accountable now.
Yeah. Probably explaining, still saying, come on, unlock the gates, please. Anyway, so that's another thing. What else do we have today? We have the Diddy case. 4 out of the 5 charges. Apparently, the jury sent back a note to the judge, and we've got a decision on 4 out of the 5, but we can't come around this racketeering thing. It's a little too complex for us.
Yeah,
and so the judge says, go back, keep working.
Yeah, I don't know if it's an interesting problem. The 4 of the 5, though, will probably get him more than a decade.
Well, apparently they came out yesterday. They read these among the lawyers with Diddy, and apparently the look was not of joy by anybody there.
Right.
And so then the judge said, no, we'll send him back. And the racketeering is the most complex of the 5.
Right, because there's some sort of conspiracy.
Right.
And so I understand why the jury may have some trouble with that. But what's the difference between, maybe this is just like the other case, where, is there a difference between going to prison for decades as opposed to going to prison for short for the rest of his life?
I think it's in the eye of the beholder. For example, if you said to me, you have a choice of the death penalty or living the rest of your life in prison, give me the death penalty. Okay, if I had to make a choice, thank heavens I don't, but if I did, I wouldn't want to serve a day in prison. Not a day. And so to me, life in prison is really quite a penalty, and far worse maybe than the death penalty. And yet, I know in that Kohlberger case, a lot of people, there's a part of us that's primal that says, hey, this guy wiped out my child.
Eye for an eye.
Yeah, you got it. There is that part of us. We don't like to admit to it sometimes, but there's that part of it. What's that?
Hammurabi.
Yeah, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and that's it. So,
The only thing though is from a societal kind of thing, or at least
right.
even from a local, I'm sure that department, the DA's office is probably not real big, and having to defend a death penalty over the course of the years,
Yeah.
could be expensive. So it might be just an easier way to just kind of cut to the chase, so to speak.
I had a caller yesterday. I was down in Baltimore doing a show, and I had a caller that came in who knew the guy who's the DA in the office in Moscow, in Idaho, and said that he is very much anti capital punishment. So this was kind of his last case. He's going out, and he wanted to kind of make this the last case that he's dealing with, and obviously a capital punishment was involved here.
Right.
And so, and now again, this was a caller. I read about the guy a little bit, and yeah, he seemed to trend in that, but that's not the last word.
But then again, on the other side of it, because I'm not for the death penalty either, but this guy did plead guilty.
Right.
And I don't think I don't think they're arguing that he's insane or anything. So.
Well, there's some questions about his autism. He has some kind of autistic things in there, so I'm not quite sure where exactly that fits in. We'll try to figure that out throughout the show today. Our question today, by the way, all of us have morning routines, I think. So when it comes to your daily routine, what one thing, if you miss doing it in the morning, throws off your entire day? What one thing, if you miss doing it in the morning, throws off your entire day? That's a question that we have, and you can go to Gary Sutton Show on
Waking
Facebook.
up.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, if I don't wake up, it does throw my entire day off. Gary, are you there? We're starting the show in 2 minutes. So, yeah. So, are you a person like that, or does anything throw your day off? You say, nah, my day never gets thrown off. I'm too good. We've got Michael Gear in this morning at 6:35. We're going to talk about UPenn. And they're going to come out and kind of say they were sorry for Leah Thomas in terms of bringing her in. So we're going to get some of that today. We'll have Jeffrey Coleman at 7:05 to talk a little bit about Alligator Alley. And Alligator Alley, good grief. Alligator Alcatraz, right. And the president's visit down there yesterday. And then at 7:35 today, we'll review all the news again and go back over. We'll have John from Gianni's in today as well at 7:54. And then at 8:05, we'll welcome in Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services, to look at the markets right now, especially in light of the Musk-Trump feud going on, and also where the big beautiful bill is. All of that will be on the table. And then at 8:35, we'll have Steve Shetter in today at 8:22 to talk about pests. He's going to be at my house today, by the way, at 10 o'clock. We're going to talk about, we already talked about him last week. He came in for a free evaluation, and today we start killing ants. Yeah, we're going to become ant killer today. And then at 8:35, we've actually got an open segment, and we'll talk about all the various stories that happened today and some of the things that are going to happen today as we saw some of these stories, and maybe even a few things you just might have missed.
Now, it is, oh, I almost lost it. It is Made in the USA Day,
Okay.
which yesterday, I think it was the Commerce Secretary came out and actually designated the entire month as Made in the USA.
Okay, good.
It is World UFO Day.
Okay.
You
All right, yeah.
Ever seen a UFO?
I think I did one time.
Really?
I think I did one time. Yes, I did. When I was a kid, and I think I was almost a senior in high school, and I thought I saw one, and saw a light shining. Probes were not involved, but no, I didn't have that story. But.
Actually, that I think I mentioned that earlier this week, and in case you missed it, I was not aware that until recently that there are. Remember the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yes.
All right. Well, right. I don't know where that saying came from, but apparently there is a listing of the different levels of contact.
Oh, yeah.
And the third kind is contact. The first one is seeing or hearing. Second one is seeing. I could get a little off on that, but the third one is actual contact. The seventh.
Oh no.
Is sex, having sex with them.
Really?
Yes.
Interstellar contact.
I was shocked when I saw that.
Intimate interstellar contact.
Yes.
IIC.
And our food holiday today,
Yeah.
maybe one of the worst. Maybe.
You've had some real low points here lately. You realize that?
This summer, it's just not good.
No.
It's just not good.
No.
And
It should be.
when I say worst, we're talking about is this worse
Maybe
than
we can
like
find out
13?
about that when we come back.
Sure.
We'll do that. 6:19 here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We'll find out about some of the worst food holidays ever. All here on the main street of York. It's the Gary Sutton Show. Okay.
3 minutes.
What were the notes to that?
Oh, it was.
Was it 5 or was, what was go again?
Here, I'll even get it for you.
I love when the really deep one comes in at the end. I know.
What is it?
He's building that stupid mountain where everything was located. And the mashed potatoes and stuff. Richard Piper.
Music. There we go. There you go.
Be in my head all day today.
I like when the guy starts. He's talking about the different notes.
Right.
It's such a great movie. Spielberg is so good.
It's been a while since I saw it.
And, the only part that I didn't like was the stupid part. When Dreyfus is, he's at the dinner table.
Built the mashed potatoes.
Yes!
I know.
And he looks at his wife and he says, "This means something."
Yeah, right. And he just keeps taking more out of the bowl and building that freaking mountain.
Oh my gosh.
Stop it. But it.
But the devil's, what is it? Den? Is that what it's called? I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my.
Thank God we have a sunny day today. We're supposed to be.
Maybe I'll save the Revolution clip for 8:20, and I'll play the Close Encounters here.
Yes.
Since they lost.
Correct. If they won, we'd be home right now. So.
Although it was a home run call that I used. So. Watched another Bear last night.
Oh, really?
The show was interesting in the first season, but it's gone downhill, in my opinion, every season. It's so frustrating.
I watched the Orioles until it was 2.
There you
I
go.
went to bed just before 9. It was still semi-light out. I went, oh my God, what a
And they were able to play ball.
They got murdered. It was 10-2.
Francois Truffaut.
It is disco day.
Semi-quakers.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Steven Spielberg's movie. What got this started today? I forget.
It's World UFO Day.
And this was one of the great UFO movies of all time.
Yes.
And the 5 tones were the 5 tones that go through the whole movie and drive you nuts. You're walking around all day doing this, which you'll be doing today.
And then.
Yeah. And so you got the spaceship sitting there playing this thing and the 5 notes.
Yes, very
It
It was a good cast.
It was, and we were just talking about the one moment, and Mark started saying, and I finished it, and we were sitting there laughing together. that when Richard Dreyfuss keeps building these models of the mountain where this thing was at, and he taking the mashed potatoes at a dinner and piling them on a plate with his hands, and he says, "This means something." Okay, yeah, right, okay, great. So anyway, National UFO Day. It's also Disco Day. And I noticed that the UFO was getting some disco. Yeah, it's Disco Day as well.
Let me just double check.
International or National Disco Day. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And who isn't celebrating that, huh?
Well, we are.
Yeah, I've got the platform shoes out.
Yes, we're going to celebrate Disco Day.
There it is. So disco. Please do not play Disco Duck. That's the only thing to ask. For the love of all this, do not play Disco.
You didn't
Duck.
like disco?
No, I know. I love disco. I love disco. I have the Studio 54 channel on from time to time. That's how much I like it. I really do. I really do. My wife said something the other day. She said, "You really like that stuff?" I said, "I do." My wife liked it because she used to.
Did you go dancing?
I did some of that from time to time. Yeah,
Okay.
I was. I must say I was relatively smooth with it. I wasn't extravagant. I wasn't good with all the moves, but I didn't embarrass myself.
How many platforms shoes did you have?
Two.
Two?
Two sets, yeah.
Wow, that's way more.
Black and white.
I had one. It was black and white.
Yeah, black and white, and that was it. And,
Yeah, I was not a good dancer though.
well, I was not a good dancer, but I could keep time, and I could do like the hits thing. We stay right in here. It's back and forth. We didn't get extravagant, and if the girl wanted to, that was okay, but not you. Yeah. So I used to watch Danny Terrio and all those kind of things back then. Oh yeah. So there you go. Another era.
Well, I mean,
I even had a scarf that I wore now and then. That's how bad I know.
Now, see, being of half Italian heritage, had to have the.
And that lineage.
It had to have the chain.
Oh yeah.
The chain
right.
with the Italian horn on it.
Your shirt was open down
exactly.
a little bit, a couple extra buttons. And, yeah. Had all that. Had a couple suits, but that was I know that's hard to kind of believe, but I did. So
what did you have a suit?
I'm fessing up. No, the kind of suits that the John Travolta, So and girls thought that was pretty cool for about 2 minutes. All right, and that was it.
Well, I mean,
but it was the time we lived in. I mean, it's what we had.
And what's interesting too is that skirts were getting a little bit longer. Remember that they had minis in the 60s.
Oh yeah.
But then they got a little bit longer and more flowy. They had that wraparound skirt.
Yep.
So when you twirled a girl, it kind of would.
Do the Marilyn Monroe thing. So that was it. So that's what we had. So you had some other national days, so you were a little disappointed. I heard it in your voice.
Yeah, it's just one today.
I just
one food holiday, and I was trying to think of what would be worse than this? So maybe fruitcake. I don't know. Even fruitcake.
I haven't heard anything to compare it to yet.
All
so
right, it's National Canned Luncheon Meat Week.
My week.
They carved out a whole week for canned luncheon meat.
Man, that's
now
bad.
To me, this sounds like spam, right?
Right, it does.
All right, but it could be other things.
I actually can tolerate spam.
Do you remember that? What was it? It had a little devil on the. Can.
Yeah. Not Hormel. It's Hormel had the canned meats too, but I remember that. What was that?
Ham salad.
Yeah.
I don't even.
What was the name of that?
Yeah, I'll think. Well, we have the internet, so we can find anything.
I'm checking it.
Okay. All right. Oh, you're gonna check it.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Canned meat. Devil logo.
Okay, hang on here.
It is
Underwood. There it was. Underwood. We found it at the same time.
I didn't know that they did. Oh, they had a chicken spread too.
Underwood deviled ham. They had Underwood spreads, ham, chicken, beef, and then they don't even mention
beef. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, it was the deviled ham that was. I don't know. There was just something about it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the devil in the logo was probably appropriate. Yeah.
You think?
There it is.
I do remember having it, and it was just never canned meat, canned luncheon meat. When I think of canned meat, I think of apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Yes, I mean, the end of the civilization as we know it. bomb shelters, sea rations stuffed in a guarded basement.
You know, the term spam.
Spices.
You know what spam stands for, by the way?
I know what the S stands for.
It's
Spiced pork.
Nope. Nope. It's well, according to now, this is according to Guardian, so and I have to back up on what the original spam, the canned luncheon meat, is a trademark name, and its origin is debated. While some believe it's an acronym like specially processed American meat, according to the Guardian, others think it's a portmanteau of spiced ham, just spiced ham.
Okay.
So SP and ham, and you get the
Okay.
Yeah.
It's way too salty. I would say within the last couple of years, I actually bought a can. They now make
you make all kinds of.
low yes, with like bacon and all that. But I bought a low sodium, and it was still too salty.
Yeah.
So a lot of salt in that.
I actually have I've actually grilled it one time when things were at a low ebb.
And how
It was okay.
yes, you would do it again.
I probably if I didn't have anything else. It is speculated to be an acronym also, by the way, for shoulder of pork and ham,
Oh, there you go.
which does make some sense
it
too.
does, it
Yeah.
does.
That's according to Eater and Smithsonian Magazine, which is a little bit better than the Guardian.
I like that.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So there you go. When we come back, Michael Gear joins us. We talk about the University of Penn and a startling statement that they came out with. Michael will have it all for you right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
3.5. We'll do the
We just
number
did an
one-
entire segment on specially processed meat. I can't believe it.
and UFO content.
And UFO content and 5 notes. Oh my God.
We'll do the number one songs on 4th of July weekend from different years tomorrow. I made a command decision. If I had known it was disco day, it didn't show up in my thing.
It's on the Wise Brothers.
Well, we're gonna do it. We'll play disco stuff today.
Let's go with that.
I don't even know how this starts. Let's see. Okay.
That's what I wanted. That's the word that I was looking for. Thank you. Subtlety.
That's right. That's right. Well, we were going to play golf yesterday, and the weather just looked so deteriorating.
That's worse yesterday, earlier today.
So, well, I'm hoping to grab a pickleball game or two this morning, but
I have game tonight and tomorrow night with Daryl. I've got to stop a losing streak again. Here I am. I mean, it's always,
they called in the closer.
yeah. Every time I go in, we win. So why the pressure all the time? I don't know.
Well,
Somebody's got to do it.
you're in the hall for a reason.
Oh, the humanity.
It's 57613.
Wonderful. Do I not have it down?
It
Oh,
says
I
six.
still that. I gotta change it. I made that mistake last week. It will forever haunt me.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hi, Mike. Good morning. We are less than a minute away, so stand by. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I got post that. Let's do that. Nope. Wrong one. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. It's National Disco Day. And Mark
Yes.
will be playing that kind of music for you all day long today.
Bumper music.
Bumper music, yeah, it's not going to be like 24 hours. And
I mean, I'm not saying you won't have a flashback. But this one
yeah,
is, I feel love. There she is.
This
There
one-
she is.
yeah, this wouldn't be one of my. Is this Donna Summer?
It is.
I like Donna Summer.
She was great.
Yeah, she was very good.
Of course,
Anyway.
it's not the really racy one
No.
that she came out with. You remember the one where she was moaning?
Oh yeah,
Love to love you, baby.
Yeah, didn't need
Oh
that.
my lord.
Yeah,
Oh.
didn't need that. Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to Gary Sutton Show here on WOYK, the only local talk show here in the region. And so glad to be with you here this morning, and so glad to have Michael Gear, president of the Pennsylvania Family Institute. You can find him at pafamily.org with us this morning. Michael, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Just remember that Donna Summer worked hard for the money.
Worked hard for the money. Yes, she did. You know, you have some of the most beautiful segues into this. It's amazing. It's almost poetic. But something that came out, or it's coming out today, University of Pennsylvania is going to apologize for allowing Leah Thomas to compete on the women's team. That is a big turnaround for UP, isn't it? Tell us about that this morning.
It's a massive turnaround, and one that the Trump administration and the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, announced yesterday at the White House that they had come to this agreement with the University of Pennsylvania. That university became famous in some respects related to this issue of allowing this Leah Thomas, formerly Will Thomas, who swam for 2 years on Penn's men's team, was about the number 425 swimmer nationally ranked as a man, but then swimming as a transgender woman, as they would call it, claiming to be a woman, suddenly won a national NCAA championship and stole
Right.
that championship away from women like Riley Gaines and others. But beyond that, also stole space from women, stole the privacy of women, going into the University of Pennsylvania women's locker room to change. I remember meeting Paula Scanlon, who was a swimmer on the University of Pennsylvania team, who talked about just Paula, as a high schooler, as a 16-year-old, had been sexually assaulted in a men's room in a restroom. And one of the reasons that she continued to go to swimming is because it helped her kind of overcome that trauma. And her swimming, swimming sometimes 8-10 hours a day, practicing swimming, giving up holidays and things as a high schooler to get into a good university. She got a scholarship to the University of Pennsylvania, only then to hear a man's voice in the women's locker room.
Yeah.
Which brought flashbacks, which brought nightmares to her, and then when she and other girls on the team there complained to the University of Pennsylvania, to the administration, to the coaches, to the administration, they told her, you just need to get over this. You're being transphobic of the team, and you need to accept it. And so there's a whole lot to it, not just that championship, not just the trophy being taken.
Right. What I saw as part of this resolution deal, now, you just laid out where Penn was. As part of the resolution deal, Penn will adopt definitions for male and female consistent with biological sex, restore stolen records and titles to female athletes, and issue personal apologies to each impacted female swimmer. I mean, that's pretty profound considering where they were. And you wonder if... I have to think that somewhere money is involved in this, where you're not going to receive funding if you don't do these things. Tell me a little bit more about that.
No, I think that's true. The Trump administration, there's a couple of things. Number one, what Title IX is very clear. The federal law that was passed that gave women these opportunities in higher education and in sports. So Title IX is clear, and we've just seen in sort of this last millisecond of history this transgender ideology kicking in, and then suddenly everybody's acting like the emperor has no clothes, and a obvious male like Will Thomas, who has all the strength and voice and every physical feature of a male, suddenly decides he can be a woman, and University of Penn tells everybody accommodate, and all the public schools around the country telling everybody you need to get over it and just allow this. And people saw it for what it was, and they voted in November as a result of what it was. You might remember the radio commercials, they're for they, them, and I'm for you. And the you are people like Paula Scanlon and Riley Gaines and so many others, nameless people, not nameless to those people, but nameless in terms of the news media or others, girls who have been robbed of the privacy of the locker rooms and the trophies, or not even just trophies, just the opportunity to compete, to be on the team.
Right.
When you have teams that have a certain number of slots, and a man takes or a boy takes the slot away from a woman or a girl, that's unfair and that's wrong. And that the University of Pennsylvania is taking this action and has agreed to this action. As Linda McMahon, the Secretary of Education, said yesterday, this is a model that they hope other universities and will encourage other universities to follow across the country as well.
In April, the Department of Education's Office for Civil Rights ruled that the University of Pennsylvania violated Title IX by allowing Thomas to compete on the women's team. And then Acting Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights Craig Traynor said at the time that Penn could face financial consequences if they don't comply. While Penn is a private school, it receives about $1 billion in federal funds, and they received that in 2024. And so one would think that's at least the amount they would receive here in 2025. Unlike the state of Maine, which continues to fight the federal government despite also being found in violation of Title IX, Penn made the decision to stop allowing males to compete in women's athletics. So they got the message that, if you're going to go off on your own, then stay on your own, but don't expect any help from the federal government in terms of money. And then I saw this yesterday with McMahon. She said today's resolution agreed with Penn is yet another example of the Trump effect in action. Thanks to the leadership of President Trump, UPenn has agreed to both apologize for its past Title IX violations and to assure that women's sports are protected at the university for future generations of female athletes. So there you go. I mean, big victory there. Yeah.
It is a big victory, and I guess we can attribute it to the Trump effect. There's no question about the involvement of the White House and the administration on this issue. But I think beyond that is that we are seeing sort of a resurrection of the notion of common sense and reality on this issue, on the issue of transgender surgery and drugs and those sorts of things. That people are
right.
Hey, wait a minute. I am going to believe what my eyes are telling me. I'm going to believe reality. Rather than this construct that was made up. When I was thinking about this case, or this situation with Paula Scanlon, with Riley Gaines and others, I was also remembering a client that we at Pennsylvania Family Institute had with our Independence Law Center, was a young high schooler in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, an adopted girl named, her name's Alexis Lightcap, who was at a public school in Boyertown, Pennsylvania, when a boy who identified as a girl was entering the girls' bathroom.
Right.
She felt threatened in that situation, complained to the school district, complained to the principal, who said, just make it natural. Just get used to it. That's our policy. It was never adopted policy by the school board or anyone else. They didn't tell the girls in the school that boys are going to be able to come into your locker room. We filed a federal lawsuit in that and eventually lost at the Third Circuit. I remember distinctly our attorney, Randy Wenger, arguing on behalf of this young girl, Alexis Lightcap, and he used the phrase opposite sex. He was trying to explain what the case was about, and the judge, federal judge McKee, the appeals court judge, said, I don't know what you mean by opposite sex. You're not going to use those words in my courtroom.
Wow.
That was the sort of upside-down world that we were facing just, that was probably 8 years ago, I think, when that case was initially filed. And now, University of Pennsylvania is having to write, this is the definition of a male and a female in the
Right.
right way. And maybe this federal judge and other federal judges and other district court judges and public school officials and things will get with the program and understand what reality is as well.
You know, I think there's one thing to being progressive and all that, but there's also something else to being ridiculous. And we've gotten to the point where when people take it to ridiculous, other people fight back. And I think that's what you're seeing here is this yin and yang going back and forth and trying to establish some kind of idea that there is common sense involved here. There are things that are black and white sometimes, and that we need to make sure that we get back the idea of what fairness is all about. And the Title IX was put in there to make sure that things were fair between men and women and having opportunities for both. And to destroy that by having that kind of thinking that we're now kind of going back against here, especially when you look at the UPenn situation, is important. And people say, oh, you're making a big deal out of something. Well, wait a second. The people who made a big deal out of it are the people who tried to skew the whole thing with people like Leah Thomas swimming in the pool with females.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, we have to remember that all human beings should be treated with respect and
Absolutely.
dignity, and there's no question about that. And people make these choices and those sorts of things. But the choices that people make don't mean that we have to deny reality. They don't mean that we have to put other people in compromising situations or steal from them the privacy that they have or their ability to compete fairly. There are ways to work these things out, and society needs to work on that kind of thing, but not just force a wrong and wrong-headed ideology on people just because they think it's the right thing to do.
Well, it is amazing to see UPenn's turnaround and what they're going to do now. And, you know, it was interesting. You talk about Riley Gaines, who tied Thomas for fifth in the 200-yard freestyle at the 2022 NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships, and added that the Penn resolution should send a clear message to colleges and universities across the country. She said, and this is Riley Gaines talking, quote, "This administration isn't talking about women's equality, but instead actively defending it. I hope that sends a clear message to educational institutions who can no longer disregard women's civil rights, and to every female athlete, know this is your dignity, safety, and fairness matter, and our nation's leaders will not stop fighting for them," unquote. And that was Riley Gaines putting kind of the exclamation point on what all happened here, what's going to happen with UPenn. Final thought.
Yes. Well, I appreciate Riley. I've had the opportunity to meet her a number of times. We've had her speak at some events here in Pennsylvania because this is an issue that's important. And what people need to now do is, you know, we see what the University of Pennsylvania has done. The Pennsylvania Senate has passed a law here in Pennsylvania, passed a bill in Pennsylvania that the House of Representatives has yet to take up to protect girls' sports. Because we still have public school districts here in Pennsylvania that are refusing to get along with reality of the program and are resisting this sort of thing. And we need to put a law in the book because we can't have, as you said, the yin and yang going on with this. We need to cement this reality that girls should be protected both in private spaces and also in competition. And that's something that we encourage people to do. And they can find out more information about that legislation on our website at pafamily.org.
Yep, pafamily.org is where you can go. Michael, always enjoy talking to you on a Wednesday morning. Thank you, my friend. It'll be interesting to see what happens in light of this UPenn decision. But have a great rest of the weekend. Have a great 4th, you and your family, okay?
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Michael Gear here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. When we come back, Mark's got some news under the radar, maybe even some sound clips, maybe some more disco. Who knows? All here on the Gary Sutton Show on the main street of York, right here on WOYK.
3.5.
Okay. Let's see what we had over here. Hallmark's Christmas in July starts Saturday. Oh my God. for the day.
I brought it on myself. That whole scene now, where they're doing all that stuff, is really cool.
Back to back. Oh my.
July 4th, 1984, remained as one of the landmark dates in the history of NASCAR, as it marked the day Petty captured his 200th and final NASCAR victory at historic Daytona International Speedway. Petty's 200th NASCAR win wasn't the only historical moment that occurred. Independence Day event marked the first time a sitting president attended a NASCAR race. Ronald Reagan gave the command, "Gentlemen, start your engines" from
It is happy birthday today to Richard Petty, 88 years old. Retired after the 1992 season again with 200 victories. What's interesting is it's almost, you talk about the GOAT, almost twice as many as the next driver on the list.
You know, it's amazing. Somewhere along the line, he adopted that idea, the cowboy hat and the sunglasses, and that became his moniker because he didn't always look like that. But he put them and the mustache, and that was Richard Petty. I met him at one time, York Sports Night.
Oh, yes.
And a really nice guy. But you know, I remember that they used to do a commercial, a Vaseline commercial, with Richard Petty, Richard Petty. Here's the commercial. He's driving along like 80, 100 miles an hour, whatever it is, and this other guy's driving along next to him, and he goes, and the guy's screaming at Petty, and he's in like one of these cars, and look out, Petty, I'm coming through, and Petty goes, "You ain't going nowhere with all that grease on your head," and that was the whole thing. That was the Vaseline commercial. You ain't going nowhere with all that grease on your head. The only place where you had head was with a two-syllable word. So there you go. Yeah. That was Richard Petty.
Other birthdays today, among many, Margot Robbie, the actress who was Barbie last year.
Yeah.
She is 35 today.
Right.
And the co-creator of Seinfeld and the creator of Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David, 78.
Wow. So you have that.
He's really good. His impersonation of Bernie is just.
Oh, he's very good. Yeah, he's very good. I saw this, and it was kind of an interesting story this morning. How do we cure some of the ills of the world? And we're always talking. Well, but this one may have more common sense meaning to it than anything. Let's ban all left turns at intersections. Here you go. That sounds like a good idea until you're running late for work and you have to make 3 rights. But a professor of civil engineering right here in Pennsylvania at Penn State University thinks we should ban left turns at more intersections around the country. Not every one, he said, but more intersections. He says they're more dangerous than most people realize. Around 40%, this really makes some sense, 40% of all crashes happen at intersections, and over 60% of those crashes involve someone making a left turn. Half of them involve a serious injury, and 1 in 5 involve a fatality. So he says banning left turns at busy intersections would save a lot of lives. Another reason to do it is they make intersections less efficient. Green arrows make left turns safer, but then everyone else at the intersection has to wait just so a few cars can turn left. He thinks more cities should make left turns illegal, at least during rush hour. It would save lives and maybe get you to work a little faster. Here in York, we already have that. Down at where the courthouse is and where the Strand is, there are times during the day when you cannot make a left turn there during business hours. And then after that, they have a left turn, but they have it on yellow, where you can actually make a left turn there in non-busy times of the day. So we actually have a little common sense here. York is a visionary in that regard.
Pennsylvania, speaking of not being able to make left-hand turns, roundabouts have been making
Oh.
a comeback. There was a special one in Rhode Island. It was on the way to the beaches, and it was really the delineation between the South County part of the state and the north part of the state. So you knew when you hit that roundabout, you were close to the beaches. But it was the only one. There wasn't another
Oh.
one that I was aware of. So then they started putting in roundabouts all across Pennsylvania. And according to PennDOT, this came out less than a year ago, roundabouts have, speaking of making the roads safer, roundabouts have reduced crashes with injuries by 51%.
Really?
Yes, and the total number of crashes by 7%. And the thing that I like about it is generally, unless traffic is coming, you do have to stop. So instead of a stoplight, but if there's not a lot of traffic, you can keep going. And I imagine that it saves some gas as well because you don't have to stop unnecessarily. Like I went through a red light this morning,
Yeah.
and it was because there was nobody else there.
Well, the roundabouts, you see, I have mixed feelings on
Oh.
this. I have mixed feelings on it.
Why?
They're kind of like Russian roulette sometimes. Like,
You think?
where do you go in? And for someone that doesn't use a turn signal, for example, when they're coming out of a roundabout and you're sitting there where they're coming out of, it can get a little confusing. But I've always thought it'd be interesting to get in a roundabout and just keep going around it, and see how many people you could screw up. And that was an
Yes.
evil thought I had. And it was, but
Unfulfilling.
I've seen them back traffic up sometimes too. But come to think of it, they are maybe a little bit more efficient than stopping at a stop sign and having a big long line. So
Exactly.
I'll go back to the committee on that, and I'll be back
That
with you
sounds
later.
like a
with
good
it.
idea.
Yeah, thank you.
We are talking about traveling and safety,
We are.
and of course, it's a big travel weekend.
Today is expected to be one of the busiest travel days of the July 4th holiday period, which started on Saturday and ends on Sunday, July 6th. More than 72 million people will travel at least 50 miles or more from home, up almost 2 million from last year. AAA says the number of people traveling by air is expected to set a new record. Almost 6 million people will fly to their destinations, up almost 1.5% from the previous record set last year during Independence Day week. The TSA says more than 18 million travelers are expected to pass through airport security checkpoints between July 1st and July 7th. The busiest day, Sunday, the 6th. Tanya Chip.
Are you going anywhere?
No, I'm not. We're actually staying at home, playing a little golf tournament that morning at our club, and then I think I'm just going to cook out that day.
Yes.
Are you going somewhere?
Does Harrisburg count? That's not really.
Not really. It's, you got to go 50 miles or more.
But Deb's son-in-law, he used to be a chef, and he is going to make filet mignon.
Okay.
He does a really good job. And I thought, why don't we get some lobster tails to go along with that?
Oh,
So
what a little hoity-toity are we?
Well, surf and turf for the 3-day
Very
holiday
nice.
weekend.
Well, we'll find out what Jeffrey Coleman's doing for July 4th, and also we're going to talk about the death of subtlety, or maybe in search of subtlety. And alligator Alcatraz, how they all fit together in the same sentence. Well, we'll try to have Jeffrey figure that out for us when he joins us here at 7:05 this morning on the Gary Sutton Show, right here on Main Street in York. Right here also on WOYK. And then after that, we'll check in also to find out a little about your Medicare coverage. All here on the Gary Sutton Show. Back with more right after this. It is 7 o'clock. Okay.
Right, so we did that. We got that. Huh. Is that right? I think that's right. Okay, what are we looking for? We have that. We have that. Where are we? All right, what is this? Yeah, we got a minute. Come on. There you are. Good morning. We are about a minute, give or take. Thanks. Did you do Marley Snyder?
I will do that right here. Do a little commercial lead in, subtle though it may be.
Oh, come on.
New York's only local show is back on its new home on York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park.
It is the Wednesday morning edition of the Gary Sutton Show here on the 2nd of July, 2025. 71 degrees out here on Brooks Robinson Plaza. A little cloudy this morning. Supposed to have sun later on today. And looking forward to that. All of this brought to you by Barley Snyder, Attorneys at Law, our presenting sponsor here. Barley Snyder's strategically focused law firm representing businesses and organizations and individuals in all major areas of civil law. You heard about one of those yesterday. With offices throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland, they firms more than 130 attorneys, provide innovative and effective representation to a wide range of clients in areas like senior living, trusts and estates, litigation and risk management, immigration, we heard about that one the other day, hospitality, healthcare, employment and employee benefits, ESOP programs, creditors' rights, business, banking, cybersecurity, and many more. And what sets them apart is their clients benefit from having available to them in one law firm the wide range of knowledge and experience represented among all the different practice areas that they have. So they're going to find an expert for you somewhere there in the case of civil law. They believe that strong individual relationships and personal attention are essential elements in serving their clients, and they place great emphasis on a full understanding of each client's needs and their objectives to provide the most effective representation. They provide the kind of service their clients expect and deserve by working with a hands-on, collaborative approach to legal representation. We have a Barley Steiner right here in York at 100 East Market Street. You can give them a call at 717-846-8888. They're open Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and we are so proud and honored to have them as our presenting sponsor for our whole show here on WOYK. Our sponsor for this particular hour is Your Medicare Solutions. That's right, your-medicare-solutions.net. And we're talking about Becky and Keith Rill, who are ready to help you with Medicare. They'll explain what Medicare is, how it works, how your personal options are available to you, and they'll give you peace of mind, get the best plans for you, and provide for simple enrollment. Your Medicare Solutions, Keith and Becky Rill, are your local Medicare specialists, and you can schedule a consult with Becky or with Keith, and you can do that by giving a call today at 717-487-4382. If you're getting started in Medicare, you have questions about Medicare, they are the ones to go to get an answer. 717-487-4382. They can tell you about when you can enroll in Medicare. Should I enroll in Medicare Part A, Part B? Which plan is best for me? They'll help you to traverse the shoals of Medicare shopping. You can email them at RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. That's RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. This hour brought to you by your-medicare-solutions.net. And thank you so much to Keith and Becky Rill for being part of what we are doing right here on the main street of York.
Take me to your leader.
Thank you very much. That is, Close Encounters, the third kind.
World UFO Day.
World UFO Day. With that, we go to Jeff Coleman, and which doesn't seem quite right. I mean, Jeff's going to take
Come on.
he's going to take some umbrage at that, for heaven's sakes. We don't. Jeff, of course, the principal at Churchill Strategies, and also a co-host of Morning Light with Deborah Pinkerton, right there on Channel 49. Good morning, Jeff. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. Good to be with you.
I was thinking to myself yesterday about Alligator Alcatraz. And the president was down visiting this place that they are going to put the worst of the worst in terms of illegal aliens to await hearings to decide whether to deport them or not. And it's in this swamp, 45 miles, it's in the Everglades, 45 miles from Miami. And they were showing pictures of pythons and alligators and stuff. And I thought to myself, the death of subtlety is here in our country. We no longer are subtle in any way, shape, or form in what we do, particularly in the world of politics and particularly in the world of Trumpian politics. But I think it goes even beyond that. There used to be a time where you didn't have to put it in people's faces all the time. There was some subtlety. There was a little bit of, I don't know, a little quieter way of going about it. Here's this place. We're not going to tell you one road in, one road out. I mean, it sounded like Thunderdome, for God's sake. I wonder if you see it the same way, that maybe a little subtlety could be inserted into our lives right now. Your thoughts?
Well, look, President Trump is a master at symbolism. So this is a man who really has understood what distracted Americans who are not interested. We're not interested in news. We're not interested in reading the long white papers and books. So this is a president who understands the moment. He really has, from the earliest days of building his businesses, all the different businesses, successful, not successful, in New York, has understood that people look at snapshots. You've got 10, 15 seconds, maybe less, to make an impression. So for people who are flipping, what did Trump do today? What did the president do today?
Right.
Click, click, click. Oh, that's what he did. Oh, interesting. Next day it'll be another snapshot. And he also knows that the news cycle is not 24 hours or even 7 days. The news cycle is the hour.
Right.
So, by 5 hours later, the news is different. But he's mastering the moment. The question of what he's getting done, that's a different debate. But for this moment, he probably understands this medium
Well,
like no other.
and there's a part to this I understand where he says, okay, I got elected by people who wanted things done. These are the things that they wanted done. I'm going to give you a Dick and Jane Reader snapshot of the
Right.
things that I'm doing here, which kind of goes to the point that you're trying to make. I think it's really good, much more subtle and much more intelligent than mine. But the point is that here it is. This is what you said. You wanted these people to be important. Well, okay, here's where we're going to put them. And you go, oh, okay, all right. And then accompanied by pictures of alligators and pythons crawling through. And these are our sentinels at this outpost. You go, oh, okay. For me, I'm just saying, okay, do you have them in some place where are you going to be able to give them hearings? And apparently, they're going to be able to do that through Florida state representatives from their National Guard who are going to be trained to give hearings. That's a whole other story. And so, yeah, I got it. But at the same time, a little subtlety now and then I think is needed in society, isn't it, or not?
Well, a few years ago, the president of the Philippines, if you remember Rodrigo Duterte, the Philippines has had a low-level crime, kind of street drug problem, addiction problem for years of really dangerous drugs in Manila and the other big, urban centers. And what he did is he essentially sent the army out, arrested hundreds of thousands of people, put them in a prison, and stacked them in there. There was no personal space. There was no privacy. It was really a body on top of a body. And the public didn't revolt until years later, until after they realized that this new phrase they began to understand called extrajudicial, and outside of the normal channels of due process for people. That's when people began to say, if they can do that to a person accused of a low-level drug crime, they can do that to me. And that's when the president's popularity began to tumble. So President Trump has to be careful that the symbolism on one hand creates a moment and an opportunity to do something dramatic, but it can't ever be at the expense of the Constitution or the rule of law. And this is where those lines get sketchy. He can't say, I'll let the judges stop me.
Right.
That's in a marriage, the husband could go a lot of different directions with a lot of different people, and the wife never said anything to me about it. Until she says something, I'm going to keep doing it. We know that it's not a healthy marriage, and it's not a good way to run a presidency.
We have a case that is out there at the moment, this Brian Kohlberger case. Brian Kohlberger, by the way, a native of Pennsylvania, who was arrested at the end of 2022 and accused of fatally stabbing 4 University of Idaho students. We'll remember seeing this, I think it was November 13th of that year, in an off-campus Moscow, Idaho home. He faced 4 first-degree murder charges, which he pled not guilty to initially. Could have been sentenced to death in a trial that was slated to have opening statements on August 18th. Yesterday we found out, and the families of the victims found out, that there's going to be a plea deal probably today, which the prosecution in a letter said weighed heavily in the decision-making process. They said, quote, "We cannot fathom the toll." This is a letter that the victims' families received. "We cannot fathom the toll that this case has taken on your family," read the letter, signed by Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson and Ashley Jennings, his senior deputy. "This resolution is our sincere attempt to seek justice for your family. This agreement ensures that the defendant will be convicted, will spend the rest of his life in prison, and will not be able to put you and other families through the uncertainty of decades of post-conviction appeals," unquote. Now, a lot of these families have come out since then and said, you've let us down. Or, we're not satisfied with this. We don't have any closure. We don't really know why he did this. He's not going to have to go out and, testify, which he would have still had the right not to do anyway. What's your thought on this? What are the victims' rights here, if any? Or is this just one of those things where you say, okay, he's going to make a plea deal. If it's accepted by the judge, the guy goes to, life in prison, no chance for parole. He's going to be off the streets. But by the same token, family is still left with, why did you do this? What happened?
Well, when it comes to victims of crimes, I think the responses are so tempered and by their own experience. I mean, I am informed by their own experience. In this case, I think two at least of the families supported the plea bargain deal. One of them strongly opposed, and I did not know what the other one said. So, you have a mixed bag of the family
Right.
response. But the family shouldn't be put in the position of being the lead negotiator. You shouldn't be using, I'd say, the victim's grief to advance your cause in one way or the other. It's one thing to have the victim's family support, appropriate, appear, look me in the eyes, look at what you've done, at sentencing. But in the public realm, it feels like there's a little bit too much PR here and less about the prosecution of delivering justice for victims and families. I think it's very, very difficult to look from the outside in at a case and say, what tools or limits a prosecution has
Right.
to deliver a sentence.
Yeah.
And what would be a shame certainly would be for no penalty.
Well, an unfortunate bottom line of all this is you're never going to have full closure. What was done was a sick, demented kind of crime, and you, as a family, you're just never going to have full closure to that whole thing. Your child was a victim. You are a victim in a sense by being related, by being a family. I guess you're never really going to totally have that. Hey, what do you have coming up today on Morning Light?
Well, we've been going through FDR's For Freedom speech from 1941. That's the speech that he delivered in January before Pearl Harbor, and he's making the case against American isolationism. The
Right.
American First Movement had put this wall up that America, our arms and our boys are staying here. FDR wanted to get some help to Europe, and this was his first case. So today we're talking about the freedom from want, and it's probably the most controversial one because many folks have read that into kind of a justification for the welfare state. But freedom from want, I think, has a lot more to do with the right to pursue and to work and chase your happiness. But I'll see what our panel has to say this morning. They might disagree.
There you go. On at 9 o'clock today on Channel 49 here in the local area, Lighthouse TV. And it's called Morning Light. Jeff Coleman and Deborah Pinkerton, the co-hosts of that. Jeff, always good to have you on a Wednesday morning. Have a great July 4th celebration with you and your family. We look forward to catching you next week.
Thank you, Gary. Happy Independence Day to you.
Thank you. Take care. Jeffrey Coleman here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. This is the Gary Sutton Show, the Main Street of York, all here on WOYK 98.9 FM and 1350 WOYK AM. Back after this.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what we have next here. I could not remember for the moment. Jeffrey Coleman commercial. Julie Wheeler bid 835.
Today. You mean,
Yeah, I don't have her in there at 835 is when she's in.
did she give you a number?
I'll get it for you.
Okay.
Her number is
717 246 6294 with a backup 717 968 0290. Okay.
I think which one is the office?
Well,
246.
neither one. The first one is her home. The second one is her cell.
Okay. I'll call the cell.
Actually, call the home first.
Oh, you think?
Yep.
She won't be.
Yep.
She won't be in by 8:30.
I don't know. I'd call the cell first and see. Yeah, that'd be fine.
Because they have a meeting today.
He has a 10 o'clock meeting, I think, weekly meeting. Let's see here. We have John from Yanni's at 7:54, 7:52, whatever. You have Fox Sports coming back, right?
Yep.
Fox Sports Update.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna dwell on this too long because I want to do well at US Open, and maybe losing here in first round isn't the worst thing in the world because I have some time to reset. But
Yeah.
it's definitely.
Yeah, she just did not have it.
21-year-old American tennis star Coco Gauff lost her first-round match at Wimbledon Tuesday in straight sets to Diana Yastremska of Ukraine. It was just over 3 weeks ago Gauff won the French Open, her second major title.
I felt like mentally I was a little bit overwhelmed with everything that came afterwards, so I didn't feel like I had that enough time to do, I guess, celebrate and then also get back into it. But it's the first time of this experience of coming off a win and having to play Wimbledon, and I definitely learned a lot of what I would and would not do again.
Not only did second seed Coco Gauff lose her first-round match at Wimbledon Tuesday, so did American Jessica Pegula, seeded third. It's the first time in the Open era 2 women seeded in the top 3 got knocked out in the first round of the Grand Slam tournament. Second-round matches today for Americans Madison Keys and Amanda Anisimova. On the men's side, Taylor Fritz, Francis Tiafoe, Werner Tien, and Ethan Quinn all play second-round matches today.
And that's the Indiana fans making some noise here at Target Center.
There are a lot of Fever fans in this building.
And Indiana has done it. Their first ever Commissioner's Cup championship, knocking off the Minnesota Lynx.
On Prime Video, without Caitlin Clark, who missed her third straight game with a groin injury, the Fever won the WNBA's in-season tournament final 74-59 over the Lynx. Shohei Ohtani hit his National League leading 30th home run.
Wow.
And the Dodgers 6-1 win over the White Sox.
Dodgers.
You can download the Fox Sports
Dodgers.
podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you download your favorite podcasts. I'm Jared Max.
Get more on the Fox Sports app and foxsports.com.
Yeah. There.
Sorry. Do it.
National Disco Day. Yeah.
Do you feel?
I do. I feel it. My feet are starting to go a little bit. I'm starting to get happy feet. Yeah.
Back when you had more hair.
Oh, yeah. And the feet lead to the ankles, to the calves, up to the hips. The hustle.
Did you do the hustle?
I tried once. I wasn't that good at it. I just wasn't.
Never did the hustle.
No, I didn't. By the way, some news you might have missed today. Now, this is news that isn't necessarily true, but a little bit of funny stuff and some tongue-in-cheek and a little sarcasm and, Anyway, for example, let's see. Starbucks added a firework frappuccino to the menu just in time for July 4th. I mean, what else do you expect them to sell? Regular coffee? Ha! Yeah, I mean, that's not going to happen. I'm kidding, anyway. Beaches in 6 states may have to close for the 4th of July due to high levels of harmful bacteria. Darn, where's that? Jaws Mare when you need them. I mean, where's that Jaws Mare? Remember the guy
Yes.
was keeping it open no matter what. July is National Baked Bean Month,
I don't get it.
which means it's also National Please Open a Window Month. And it's also, personally, I love National Baked Bean Month. I really do. It's always such a gas. I mean, it really is. It's a gas. Yeah. You see where we're going with that. Yeah. So a record low, 58% of U.S. adults say they are proud to be an American. That's a bad sign for Lee Greenwood's ticket sales, right? That's not good.
Really?
I'm proud to be an American. Yeah, and then it sounds like we need to have a lack of pride month. You're kidding me. 42% of Americans have never heard of Chuck Norris. Come on. Michelle Obama denies rumors that she's getting divorced. Likewise, Melania Trump denies rumors that she's married. So the two of them are maybe a former president and a president. Delta was named the best airline in the United States. I just saw this. Yeah, Spirit came in ninth, but keep in mind there are only 7 airlines in the United States, so coming in ninth, not good.
No.
Not good. Let's see what else we have. Wyoming is experiencing a population boom due to the state's tax-friendly laws. Thanks, but I'd rather pay taxes. I
mean, it's less than I think it's like 700,000 or something. It's not even $1 billion.
Yeah, I know. Producers want the next James Bond to be under 30. The new movie is called The Spy Who Was Priced Out of the Housing Market. That's the name of the next movie that they're going to have there. Let's see what else we have. A longtime camera operator for The Tonight Show died. So at least for today, Jay Leno has no excuse for the long face. So there you go. Yeah, that's
terrible.
It was bad. It was bad. Liam Neeson's newest movie is called Ice Road Vengeance. If you haven't seen it yet, trust me, you have.
Yes.
You've seen it. Yeah, he's killing people.
Although,
yeah,
his big movie is coming out. He's got another movie coming out later this year, and he's the new Leslie Nielsen.
Which is still hard to kind of fathom. I'm sorry.
I've seen the trailer. They have a trailer out, and it doesn't hit the right note.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Naked Gun. Thanks.
You got it. Yeah. Lindsay Lohan turns 39 today, but she has the liver of a 64-year-old longshoreman. So that's another thing that happened there. Yeah. So just a few things there this morning. A little news under the radar for you.
Well, you mentioned airlines.
Yeah.
And if you're traveling and you want to save money, check this out.
Money, I'm Hillary Barsky. We all get inundated with airline credit card offers. The perks of credit cards tied to a single airline include hefty sign-up bonuses, free checked bags, and often these benefits can pay for themselves. Still, travel experts say you should be cautious, especially if you are a frequent flyer who already earns status with an airline. These travelers most times get the same perks without the card, like free checked bags. Since many airline credit cards come with an annual fee, which can range from $95 to $550, that redundancy can represent wasted money. However, for a family that travels once or twice a year, if they get a credit card with the airline that they tend to fly, those free check bags alone could more than pay for the annual fee, according to Bankrate. But keep in mind, booking a flight with miles or points doesn't make it free. Travelers still have to pay out of pocket for taxes, fees, and surcharges. Saving you money, Hillary.
And I do want to remind you this hour being brought to you by Your Medicare Solutions. You can find them on the web at your-medicare-solutions.net. Keith and Becky Rill are ready to answer your questions about Medicare. If you're trying to get through all that, there's a lot of stuff that's hard for us to understand. They explain what Medicare is, how it works, your personal options. They'll give you peace of mind, best plans for you, and simple enrollment, and they'll tell you how to do it all. You want to schedule a consult with Becky or you want to schedule a consult with Keith, they'll help you find the best Medicare health insurance plan that best meets your needs. Give them a call today at 717-487-4382. That's 717-487-4382 to answer all your Medicare questions, or email them at RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. That's RILL, R-I-L-L, at your-medicare-solutions.net. They are the sponsors of this 7 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll round up some of the stories that are making the headlines in your neck of the woods, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
3.5. What do you think of that?
Yanni's other place is officially open.
I've been watching videos from this guy whose goal is to eat at 1,000 Michelin star restaurants.
Well, that's cool.
And the food is just, it's stunning. And it's a lot like the Bear in a way, where they're only making, there are a couple of exceptions, but mostly it's one bite. So you get this big bowl and you get this one bite. And really unusual preparations and ingredients, and every once in a while, something you've never seen before. And he had one, and the restaurants are around the world. And this one was a dessert. And there was a reason behind it, and I don't remember what it was, but it was a bowl of chocolate, and you were to dip your hands in it, and then get the different toppings, and then lick it off your hands. I never
Oh
saw
my
it.
gosh.
I was like, I don't know if I'd like that.
Oh.
But I mean, hopefully we can wash our hands first.
Yeah.
And the food that they were serving him, they must have served him a dozen things.
Wow.
It just, and I mean, the cost must have been
Off
astronomical.
the charts. Well, you know somebody's bankrolling that if it's.
Well, I mean,
But
he
still.
probably gets enough views to pay for it at the end.
Yeah. Unreal.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show. Shaft, another of those, I guess you could say it's a disco song, right?
You know, I don't, I mean, it had a beat. I
Yeah.
guess you could have danced to it.
You-
54 years ago.
One of the great
today,
lead-ins of all time.
1971.
Is that Isaac Hayes that wrote that?
He wrote it. I won an Academy Award for it. But that is Richard Roundtree.
Right.
And he played Shaft, I think, in a couple of the movies. And then was.
The
they
lead into
redid
this
it.
took like about a half an hour. The only one
It did.
the song I remember had a longer lead. It was like Rolling Stone or The Temptations. You know,
And it was a kind of a funny song because at
Yeah.
one point.
shut your mouth.
Yes. It was good.
I'm saying that shit.
It was a bad
Shut your
one.
mouth. Anyway, yeah. So, but it was very cool song. Very
Yes.
cool song.
There's something. There are a few pieces of music that just, for me, it's like a snapshot in time. So all I need to do is hear a few notes from Leonard Bernstein in West Side Story,
Yep.
and I think late 50s, early 60s. All you have to do is hear a few notes of Cole Porter? No, George Gershwin, and you just hear New York City, in the Depression, and this is big city, early 70s, late 60s, early.
Here's
70s.
two notes that I bet you if I give them to you, remember there. Da da. There's two notes. Da da
Yes,
da da.
well, and that was the
The
50th
Jaws.
anniversary of Jaws,
Right,
which is
right.
this song.
Two notes. Da da. And when I hear those down to the ocean, I get out. I just don't, because I know he's coming. Anyway, Penn State football preseason celebration has begun for running back Nick Singleton, who is a first-team pick on both the Walter Camp Foundation, the Athlon sports teams, and is a preseason All-American. along with Zane Durant from the Nittany Lions, 2 early preseason All-American teams. Now, again, you can say it's preseason, what it really means, you know. But anyway, Nick Singleton, one of the best backfields in the country, along with Katron Allen. But he returns after leading the Big Ten in all-purpose yards, 1,805, ranking 4th in yards per carry, 6.39, and yards per game, 120.3 yards per game. And the defensive tackle, Zane Durant, who also was named to the Walter Camp first team, is first team. And also junior guard Vega Ione made the second team. So those guys are from Penn State. Yeah,
That doesn't really make sense. I mean, how can you win an award when you haven't run a yard?
they're saying there are candidates for winning the award.
Oh, I see.
Candidates for winning
Well,
the award.
Colin Cowherd, who,
Yeah,
by the way,
right.
nominated for the Radio Hall of Fame, who you can hear later today, right on this station. I saw him yesterday. Is the simulcast they do on Fox Sports Net, when I was at the gym, and I believe I heard him say that he thought Penn State could be the national champion.
Well, they are certainly in the conversation right now, and we'll see where they end up with all that, because we've certainly been disappointed over the last few years by that. Although last year they came within a interception of getting to the big game. Don't want to even talk about that. Anyway, one of the things we're thinking about getting ready for the weekend here are fireworks. And, you know, fireworks are loud and bright, and they're flying off the shelves ready to be lit in Meyer the 4th. But before you set off those colorful sticks of fuel, here are a few do's and don'ts to remember for a memorable and safe holiday weekend. I found this today in the New York Daily Record. According to the state, every day consumers can purchase and use Class C or consumer-grade fireworks such as firecrackers, Roman candles, bottle rockets, and similar fireworks that contain a maximum of 50 milligrams of explosive material.
Yeah, so you only lose maybe a finger.
Yeah, you know, in 2017, the state of Pennsylvania expanded the sale and use of consumer fireworks, which give off an aerial and explosive effect similar to display fireworks, which are only to be used by professionals with a permit from the municipality where the display will take place. Consumer fireworks do not include ground and handheld sparkling devices, novelties, and toy caps, which are permitted at all times throughout the Commonwealth. Now, who can purchase fireworks? Anyone over the age of 18 can purchase, possess, and use consumer fireworks, according to the state website. Consumer fireworks can be purchased from a standalone, permanent structure licensed by the Department of Agriculture. Consumer fireworks may also be purchased through online, mail order, or other transaction, but delivery of consumer fireworks to a purchaser shall take place at a licensed, permanent structure, although we do see an awful lot of tents around right now.
Sure.
Where you can go and stop and do that. According to a news release by Governor Josh Shapiro, the law sets penalties, including a fine of up to $500 for a first offense for intentionally using consumer fireworks on private property or on public property without the express permission of the owner. Don't do that. Within, directed, or directed from a vehicle or building. Don't throw them out the window of your car or something like that. Directed at another person, not a good idea. You can get arrested. While under the influence of alcohol or drugs, how could that ever happen? But it does more than we like to think. And within 150 feet of a building or vehicle, whether or not the building or vehicle is owned by the user of the consumer fireworks or not, don't do it. By the way, you can use them. Municipalities may restrict use of consumer fireworks between 10 p.m. and 10 a.m. You hear that, neighbor? My neighbor up the street. Yeah, you hear that? Except July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and December 31st. July 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and December 31st, when they may be used until 1 a.m. If July 4th falls on a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, they may be used until 1 a.m. on the immediately preceding and following Friday and Saturday. There you go.
Say a prayer for your local fire department.
Oh, my
I
goodness.
know the chiefs didn't.
No.
The police also didn't
No.
want the expansion. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about Mother Nature's fireworks.
Right.
And of all things, love.
Described as a literal whirlwind romance, storm chasers Bryce Shelton and Paige Perdomas got engaged Sunday in front of a swirling EF3 tornado in South Dakota. The couple, bonded by their love of wild weather, were tracking a series of storms when Shelton dropped to one knee with what the couple described as the most beautiful tornado they've ever seen as the backdrop. The moment was captured in a stunning photo with Paige saying yes behind her safety goggles. The two have been dating for over a year, chasing twisters together, and Shelton had kept the ring hidden for weeks, waiting for just the right storm. Now they're forecasting a lifetime of love and adventure.
Well done.
Yeah, here's a local story. Aston Aguilera had to go before York County Judge Clyde Vetter in courtroom 7002 and expressed his remorse for beating his dog, a 5-year-old pit bull terrier named Valley, to death with a baseball bat, and then disposing of her carcass in a ditch. This guy said before the judge, "I love my dog. I love animals. I'm heartbroken over what happened. It happened, and I'm sorry." His attorney, whose name is William Whitenack, argued for a mitigated sentence to be served in York County Prison and later on house arrest, made the same argument on his behalf, saying that his client is very remorseful and never intended the result that occurred. Wait a minute, you beat him with a baseball bat. It was his dog, the attorney said. He was very loving with his dog. He regrets what happened. The judge wasn't buying it, using words like egregious, reprehensible, and heinous to describe the crime. Vetter said he found Aguilera's expression of contrition disingenuous. Simply saying that someone is remorseful doesn't make them so, the judge said. And with that, and citing other aggravating factors, Judge Vetter imposed a sentence that went beyond the standard guidelines, 2 to 4 years in state prison. He also ordered that Aguilera not be permitted to own any kind of pet for the duration of the sentence and undergo anger management treatment and a psychological evaluation. He also forbid him from having contact with his daughter, who had witnessed Valley's death, Valley being the dog, and was enlisted afterwards to help clean up the scene and dispose of the carcass. Yeah, so the judge not buying that explanation.
See, it's an interesting explanation, too, for our justice system, because they can literally say anything.
Right.
They can say anything. Oh, I love my dog. You just beat it to death with a bat.
You just beat it to death with a baseball bat.
No. He loved his family.
Right.
It's like
he just wiped them out, but he loved them.
It's a stupid argument. In a way, it's insulting.
And this is one where you just saying you're sorry wasn't enough for the judge. Hats off to the judge in this case for seeing through the crap. I mean, it just standing up there and saying I'm sorry. Now there are times I'm sure where people come in and they truly are sorry for something they did, but
yeah, I'm not saying
this is an
sorry.
intended thing. I mean, this,
right.
You take a baseball bat,
yes.
You hit the dog once, say, "Oh my God, what am I doing?"
Yes.
But now this guy killed it and threw it in the ditch. That doesn't sound like I love my dog a whole lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was swinging on a bat. Oops, I didn't.
So I'm playing baseball, and no.
Here's a case where sometimes you need some investigation.
Yeah, you do.
So here's an investigation that's going on into, I guess it's a dating club of some sort.
Okay.
But they're wondering if it isn't maybe more like a cult.
This is an online company which says they can help customers find eternal love. They offer a number of products from a $10 Kindle book all the way to their everything package, which retails at close to $9,000. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel says search warrants were executed at 2 homes in northern Michigan where the company's based. The AG says the company's been accused of using coercive control over its members through illegal acts. In a statement, the company says in part that their community is founded on love and mutual respect.
See, once again, love and mutual respect.
Yeah.
And threats.
Right, and threats. Yeah. I love my friends. Yeah.
And there's a dating, online dating thing. But here's a different kind of love bug in South Korea.
South is not from its hostile neighbor from the north. It's from swarms of love bugs. Blanketing a mountain peak, entering houses and sticking to car windows, saying don't even bother using your wipers. It just smears the bugs all over your windshield. The flying insects fastening to one another during mating and were first found in large numbers in northwestern Seoul in 2022. Now hordes buzz through the capital and some nearby areas, mainly between late June and early July each year. The insects are not harmful and don't transmit diseases or sting humans. And at a mountain west of the capital, video shows workers are constantly shoveling dead insects from.
Wow.
Well, they don't do any of that stuff. They're busy having sex all the time, for heaven's sakes. They're flying around. Good grief.
Speaking of bugs, I did some yard work within the last week, and I found not the little tiny ones, but the next growth level for, remember the spotted lantern?
Oh, yeah.
So these were I guess, the stage right before they become like flying bugs.
There's a
So-
spotted match fly.
Yeah, little small things. Yeah,
Yeah,
and you don't try to hit them because they can see you.
It was a joke, by the way. Spotted match fly. Yeah. Sorry, I'll stop. When we come back, John Politzopoulos is not stopping. They've started the brand new Yanni's over on the east side of town. He's going to tell you about that. And also a little bit about some of the best Mediterranean food you're going to find anywhere. We like to talk about food here on this show. He'll do that. And we'll have some more news for you right here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Back with more right after this.
Three.
Okay. Yanni. All right, let's see if we're missing something here. We probably are. This hour. This hour. In what you buy. God.
Well, it doesn't look like we're going to be playing pickleball.
Right?
No pickleball. I don't see anybody.
Losers. Not with you people.
I don't know.
Hi everyone. So there's a lot of concern this so-called big beautiful bill that was approved by the House and is now before the Senate will kick millions of families and children off Medicaid.
Mm-hmm. The Brave New World. Whoops. So yesterday I had one of those instances where I wasn't sure the conversation I was having over the phone was right. Well, when I took a vacation, I didn't want to collect unemployment because I wasn't working.
You told me about that yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, so I put in, hey, good morning, John. We'll be with you shortly. Thanks, sir. So I put more hours in just so I wouldn't get charged. Well, apparently I put too many in, and it canceled my they wanted to terminate my claim. So I talked to this guy yesterday, and I kept wondering, is this real? I mean, he seems to know a lot, so I kind of played along, and sure enough, it looks like I've got an email. I got to check it out. But once I told him, he said, "So your heart was in the right place. You just didn't do it well."
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I'll fix that for you."
Good.
He says, "You'll get a check next week."
Good.
I said, "Well, thank you." He says, "We've been on your side too,
The Disco Bee Gees. I
World
like
Disco
that.
Day.
Yeah. Disco Day.
I'm going to do my Bee Gees. Ready?
Go ahead. I'm afraid of this.
There is movement all around. There is, I can feel it.
So one day when you bring an extra pair of underwear that are like 2 sizes too small to work. That way you can do the Bee Gees. Yeah.
No.
There you go. The Bee Gees. I love the Disco Bee Gees. I did not like the Bee Gees before that.
Bee Gees is another, we talk about Billy Joel and Elton John, and the Bee Gees had this incredible knack of coming up with these hooks, and I mean, you can just go through their pre-1970s era when it was a lot of ballads and things, and then
just
all of a sudden, they started doing more up-tempo stuff,
right?
And they did it for more than a decade, and then they wrote for other people. I mean, they're very talented.
They backed up some people
Yes.
like Samantha sang at
Yes.
one thing, and yeah, I mean
Their brother, Andy Gibbs.
Andy
so,
Gibb,
yes.
yeah. Do it by
Oh. Yeah,
shadow dancing.
You don't have enough high.
I know. I just was doing it my
Oh, I see.
Maybe John Politzopoulos could do Bee Gees for us. I don't know. John, do you do Bee Gees at all? John, a little younger than we are, yeah. You've heard of disco, right, John? Yeah, there you go. There, you got it. You've hit the era now, so that was great. That was one of the best responses ever. John Politzopoulos with us this morning. You're a happy guy right now. You finally have your new location open on the east side of York, 2815 Concord Road, right?
That's correct, yes.
Now, you opened up, am I correct, like, was it last week or the week before that? Someone was telling me, like, it was Thursday, like, last week. Get me straightened out.
Yep, we opened June 19th, Thursday.
Okay.
And now it's like about, 2 weeks that we've been open.
How's it going so far?
So far, so good.
Yeah, now, for people who don't know where Yanni's is, or what Yanni's is, shame. It's a family-owned, fast-casual Greek restaurant operating locations in Hershey, Harrisburg, over in West York in the West Manchester Town Center at 310 Town Center Drive, which you tell me about all the time, in Hershey Park, thank you very much, and now at 2815 Concord Road in York. John, for people that are new to the Yanni's name, the Yanni's Gyros, I know they're heroes, but we call them Gyros here in Pennsylvania. What can people expect to see when they come out to Yanni's, east or west here in York?
You can expect to see smiling faces greeted with a smile out the door. You're going to see authentic Greek gyros, chicken, and your traditional beef lamb, and a plethora of other homemade Greek dishes.
Like stuffed grape leaves and souvlaki, which is like chicken or pork on a stick, which is one of my favorites, by the way, but I do love your gyro sandwiches. And you've got the gyro meat salads. You've got, and one of the things that people maybe underestimate a little bit here, your fries. Your fries, when people looking for boardwalk fries, I'd say your fries are as close to boardwalk style as anybody. Tell us about your fries.
Yep, we have fresh cut at all our restaurants fries. We make them every day to order. A little salt, pepper, oregano, give it a little flavor, a little taste of the Mediterranean, and off we go. Yeah,
you can get a Greek style fry there too with some feta cheese on. Am I correct on that, John?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, when anything new about Yanni's East from Yanni's West? Anything different there at all here in York?
Nope, you'll find the same great people from one spot to the other. We're rotating in and out, and great, amazing food from both locations.
And one of the things you'll love, it's a beautiful open kind of location. Blue and white is the motif. It's gorgeous. You sit inside there. You're going to have a lot of your friends sitting around with you. And just great people. That's the one thing about John's family. From his dad, Chris, to his mom, Maria, to his wife, Amanda, to all the good people that work at Yanni's. They are ready to help you today to have a great experience while you're in there and experience Mediterranean. And one of the things also, John, that we want to tell people about, I think, is how healthy Mediterranean food is. Tell people a little bit about that.
Yep. Nothing is really like fried. Everything is made to order, right on the grill, freshly made. You have the gyros that are shaved right off the spit right in front of you. You have, like you said, the souvlaki, which is all white meat chicken marinated in some Greek spices or pork.
And you've just got a wonderful array of food out there. Try it all out. Now, where maybe the healthy part ends a little bit is when you cross over to the pastry case, where your mother makes some of the most unbelievable desserts ever. The only thing that's safe about that pastry case, it doesn't have wheels on it, or I'd attach it to my car and pull it out with me. It is unbelievable. Tell us a little bit about some of the pastries that you have there and some of the great desserts to top off a wonderful meal.
So we've got your traditional baklava, which is phyllo dough, walnuts, and honey, a traditional Greek dessert. Then we also have a little twist on it with a baklava cheesecake. It's got the same phyllo dough and walnuts, and then a big chunk of cheesecake right in the middle. And then we also have a little variety of things like you said, the mama, like the ekmek and the rice pudding.
Yeah, the ekmek, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is like I'll say Bavarian cream inside. It's probably a better name for that. but it is just fantastic. And some honey at the bottom, and well, you get the idea. It's all happening at Yanni's right now. Now, same hours there on the east as on the west, 11 a.m. to 9 a.m. every day, John?
That is correct, yep.
So it's a fantastic place. Go to clover.com to check out the Yanni's menu. Clover, CLOVER.com. You can check out the Yanni's menu. You can go out to 310 Town Center here in York or 2815 Concord Drive, right there in the Best Shopping Center, just out a few doors from Best, right out there on the east side. And now you have two reasons to visit Yanni's right here in York. And John, final thought on Yanni's brand new opening.
Hey, thank you everybody in the community for coming and supporting us at both locations. Now you don't have to fight the traffic going up and down 30. As we thought like 7 miles, it was going to take us like 40 minutes every day.
Well, now you have a choice. On the east and on the west, it is Yanni's Gyros. And John, have a great day and a great July 4th, my friend. And find out about the Bee Gees. They had some great music during the disco time, my friend, all right?
All right, I'll have to ask AI about it.
Thanks, John. Take care. John Politzapoulos here on the Gary Sutton Show. Don't forget to check out Yanni's, both east and west now. They are just a fantastic place. I will be out at Yanni's today at 12 o'clock here on the west side. I'll be at the 310 Town Center Drive. I was going to try to make east today, but I'm going to make that next week. This week, it'll be 12 o'clock out at Yanni's West. If you want to stop out and grab a lunch like I'm doing, and then we can sit around and gab a little bit for a few minutes too. Although I have a 1 o'clock tea time today too, I will tell you that.
But we have a, one of the big things with 4th of July is blockbuster movies. This year,
Jurassic World Rebirth stars Scarlett Johansson as Zora Bennett, a covert operative recruited by a pharmaceutical giant for a secret mission. Head to a forbidden island with a paleontologist to track down 3 massive prehistoric creatures, one from land, sea, and air, whose biomaterial could hold a cure for life-saving.
you have about 15 seconds. How's that?
I suppose we could try and get a food parent, but they're a flying carnivore the size of an F-16.
The mission turns deadly after they encountered a shipwrecked family and become stranded on an island crawling with failed genetic experiments and dinosaurs that have mutated in isolation for decades. Michelle Boulineau, Fox News.
And we want to thank Keith and Becky Real for sponsoring this hour with Your Medicare Solutions. Check them out, your-medicare-solutions.com, or give a call today to get an appointment at 717-487-4382, or you can email real@your-medicare-solutions.net. Coming up next, Ryan Fox here on the Gary Sutton Show. It's 8 o'clock.
Good.
Yeah, I'm going to run over to the bathroom.
Yep,
and
you
I'll
got
be
time.
right back.
Actually,
What the hell are those?
Jurassic World, rated PG-13. Great chain of events ever swept up into high adventure.
Hey Larry, where's the forklift? Forklift! It's the power for the bag exploder!
Airplane, problem.
This is Dr. Brody at the Mayo Clinic. There's a passenger on your Chicago flight 209, a little girl named Lisa Davis, en route to Minneapolis. She's scheduled for a heart transplant. I want you to make sure that she's kept in a reclined position and that a continuous watch is kept on her IV.
Airplane is action. Airplane is romance. I love you, Lane. Airplane is music.
There is only one sea.
Airplane is dancing. Never has the screen been so big. Never been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
Peter Graves. Never seen a grown man naked? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My name is. Has the screen been so big? Never.
Oh. Anybody in there?
Nope.
Hey, Ryan, good morning. We are seconds away. Step on. Hey.
No, there's not. There was one girl who was, well, she didn't say anything, so everything was locked up. Okay.
York's only local show is back. On its new home, York's only local station. This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. Now, broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown York studios inside Wellspan Park, here's Gary Sutton.
And welcome back to the final hour on a Wednesday morning of the Gary Sutton Show here, where it is 8:05, 72 degrees on a 72 sultry degrees on Brooks Robinson Plaza here at Wellspan Park, where I'll be broadcasting tonight with Daryl Henry. 6:10 we'll be on the air, and 6:30 hopefully we'll get started. I don't think there's any rain really in the forecast. So pop-up storms are kind of around all the time, but not for tonight. We are so proud to have as our presenting sponsor Barley Snyder, attorneys at law. Barley Snyder is a strategically focused law firm that represents businesses and organizations, and yes, individuals too, in all major areas of civil law. Now, they have offices throughout Pennsylvania and Maryland, but what's really impressive is the firm has more than 130 attorneys who have expertise in a wide variety of areas that could help you. Why don't you give them a call today here in York at 717-846-8888, or better yet, go to barley.com and find out if one of those areas might be one in which you're having a situation right now and you need to find out more information about it. They're open 9 to 5 every weekday right here in York, as well as around the Pennsylvania and Maryland area. This hour, by the way, being brought to you by TES, Total Exterminating Services, who I am using today, by the way, at 10 a.m. Trusted local family-owned Steve Shetter is the owner, and you can give him a call at 717-951-3868, or you can go to steve.shetter, S-H-E-T-T-E-R, be careful, at pestpest.com for help. He's got 50 years of experience in the business, residential and commercial pest control. And I'll tell you what, they are my pest control place, and they are coming to my place today at 10 a.m. to get rid of ants. I I had like a little ant parade the other day going through. I swear to God, I heard the little fifes and drums playing and a little flag up as they were marching in from the outside. Yeah, it was, and so they're going to take care of that.
No Independence Day.
End those parades for the ants. I don't want them anymore. But check out Steve at Pest, TESPEST.com. With that, we turn to a guy who's never a pest, but always a help. Here he is, Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. He is a partner there with Sean Houston, and with us here this morning on the Gary Sutton Show, and probably anticipating July 4th, and getting all ready for that. Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Gary, I'm good this morning. How are you doing?
I am doing really well. So, in the topsy-turvy world, Mark, let's see, we have a big, beautiful bill floating around right now. We've got the president and Jay Powell going back and forth arguing about interest rates. We've got what else happening all over the world at the moment? We've still got the situation Israel and, of course, Iran and that uneasy truce right now. And what else could possibly be happening that would keep people like you awake at night, right?
Well, I'll tell you, today I start my quarterly report, which is the letter I send out to clients.
Right.
I've got a pile of information I got to get down to one page, and this is going to be tough to do with so much is going on the first half of this year. But overall, year to date, markets have done really well. It doesn't feel like it. But when we look at the first 6 months of 2025, just a couple of months ago, markets in some cases were down all but 20%. And when we closed out the market at the end of day June 30 earlier the week, S&P and NASDAQ ended up 5% year to date, and the Dow rose about 3%, which, if you multiply that by 2, gives you, about a 10% return in the S&P 500, which is above the historical average ever so slightly. So it's been an absolutely fascinating year that, as I told a client yesterday, we've endured an entire market cycle in 6 months where the market boomed a little bit. The market fell, the market corrected, which is a further fall, strange term. We touched on a bear market down 20% in the NASDAQ briefly, yet we have rallied so heavily. And that continued yesterday a little bit. The Dow climbed about 400 points yesterday, just shy of 1%, as some money rotated out of tech stocks. Now, a lot of that was probably rebalancing. But the S&P and NASDAQ are bouncing around all-time highs now all of a sudden. And a lot of that is because of this perception in markets. So the sell-off was over fears, especially unknown fears. And now there's this perception in markets that maybe some of the trade tensions, some of the political tensions, some of the geopolitical tensions, at least are known. They aren't the unknowns as much anymore. And maybe the Fed, like you mentioned, could be in the mood to start cutting rates. That battle's gotten very interesting. Jay Powell came out the other day and said, basically, if we didn't have these tariffs, we'd be cutting rates. So
yeah, I saw that.
Certainly a little fire under President Trump with what they're looking to do. But, today we get some job data. I think it's 8:15 we get what they call the ADP private payroll report. And that's just going to show the state of the labor market. And, for the Fed, they have the mandate of full employment, handling price stability, managing inflation. So we'll see where that leads. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. This has been one of the more interesting 6 months to start a year with the way markets have reacted, rebounded, sold off. But, overall, the U.S. economy is in pretty good shape. We're seeing gas prices come down a little bit. I think they're down about 20 cents with some of the reduced fears of, any kind of blockade on oil.
Iran and Iraq, yeah.
So, it's certainly been an interesting year. But overall, where we sit right now, it's been pretty average, a little better than average as far as returns for those who've been patient.
Ryan, are the markets reacting very much to the big, beautiful bill and that whole situation right now? Are they just kind of waiting to see what happens with it? Because obviously it's been passed now by the Senate in a different form, albeit very close, and sent back now to the House. The House is considering it may come up today or tomorrow. But what's your reaction there? Any reaction on the market scene?
Yeah, not a whole lot. I think markets realize something will get passed. If it's somewhat close to the current form or not, markets kind of are overlooking that because they know this is just, it's part of the process, it's part of the rhetoric. And I think some of the bigger things we're seeing beyond that is really looking down, what the Fed's going to do. And this, depending on how this final form comes out, may impact the Fed a little bit, with what they're looking for as far as monetary policy for the U.S. economy. But I think overall markets are looking ahead of it. The other thing this week we're seeing, we have a full trading day today. Tomorrow, the 3rd, it's a shortened trading day, and of course stock markets are closed Friday. So really, I think we'll see very limited trading volume after today, and then probably Monday, Tuesday next week things get back in where we'll start, markets will start to really delve into some of this a little bit more. And there'll be lots of data, I'm sure, that comes out over the weekend too.
Well, July 9th is coming up too, where a lot of the tariffs kick in, right? And that's something that's going to be of some interest, I would think, to the markets, right?
It really is, and I was reading the story this morning. I just started to glance at it, but it caught my attention about a survey about what that'll happen. And, it's kind of, there's this feeling that the nations that have been willing to broker deals or at least come to the table or at least play spin in the media, may be treated a lot more fairly than those that don't. But it is funny, the last couple of days, trade, kind of simmered down a little bit in favor of the big, beautiful bill talk. So I think that'll be renewed with vigor early next week. And that could drive the markets higher or lower again temporarily. But we'll just have to wait and see where that pans out and then what happens. And, I think July 4th is an incredible time for our country. And I think it may be an incredible time for some of these deals to get negotiated to, a lot further than they are right now.
Ryan, you always have a tip for us every week. What's this week's tip?
Yeah, I've been seeing more and more clients and potential clients interested in this concept of retirement. And, it always starts with this conversation, what's the money side of retirement? Well, we know it's based on Social Security, pensions, savings, debt, cash flows. Should we relocate? What are our expenses? If we don't have enough money for expenses, should we consider working longer, working part-time, down, all those sorts of things. But, there's this whole other side. The quantitative side, the money's great, but there's this qualitative side, the mental side that says, if we can retire a little bit earlier, what does that do? Well, it lets us enjoy our time while we're healthier a little bit longer.
Right.
Hopefully. But it comes down to number one, have we seriously considered how we're going to spend all that extra time? Number two, do we have relationships outside of the people in our workforce for socializing? All too often, I'm the exception. Sean and I work in our offices by ourselves, but a lot of our friendships come from socializing at work. Number three, does this idea of retirement bring more of a feeling of excitement and less of a feeling of anxiety? Are we excited about it? And four, you have to discuss this routine of retirement, what we're going to do with our loved ones. That may be children. It should be our spouses, that's for darn sure.
Oh, yeah.
But how's that going to play together? All of a sudden you have 40 more hours of looking at each other. Is that going to work out? Well, that's a good discussion to have ahead of time. So, the financial side's one thing, the emotional, the quantitative side's the other that we have to really pay attention to.
Great point. I think it's a wonderful bit of advice there. And, you were my financial advisor. You've been that for a long time. And I'll tell you, I tell people all the time, I say, Ryan does a great job for us. You're talking about getting the quarterly report out. I look forward to reading that. You get information. You're available. Tell people a little bit about how you do business for people who are looking for a financial advisor right now and trying to traverse the shoals of all the things that are happening and being thrown at us right now.
Yeah, it's really tricky. So in the financial advisory world, financial services are provided a number of different ways. Some people do it themselves, which is great. Others deal with what are called fee-based brokers who charge commissions and fees and may sell products. Houston Fox is one of, I'm going to say about 20% of firms here in the U.S. that operate as fee-only fiduciaries. So fee-only fiduciaries means our only compensation comes from our clients. And as fiduciaries, we are responsible to at all times represent our clients' best interests. So one of the ways we try to do that is every 3 months I write a cover page for clients that we send out in a report that details asset holdings. And the biggest thing is performance. We'll run quarter to date, year to date, and then from inception, where we start to compound and really have an honest discussion about how are we doing, is the strategy working, and that leads into discussions typically of what kind of withdrawal rates can we have over time.
Right.
But we're a small firm, we're fee only, we have offices in Gettysburg, Hanover, satellite location in New York. Anyone's welcome to call, kick the tires, 398-2040. Hopefully we can answer questions. There are an awful lot of people who call, we talk to. They don't need to become clients. We can answer a couple of questions, and maybe down the road they think of us when that time comes up.
One of the things you'll find about Ryan, open, honest, willing to listen, maybe has some suggestions for you hadn't thought about. But those kick the tires conversations have become kind of famous, and they're free. And you sit down and you talk to Ryan about it, and you just might take him on as your financial advisor. Maybe you won't, but there's no bad feelings or any way at all. Give him a call. It's 717-398-2040. I did that years ago, and I'll tell you what, I've been happy about it ever since, because Ryan helps me to understand the financial stuff as well as anyone I've ever come across. Ryan, thanks so much for what you do each week here, and thanks for what you're doing for clients all around York County and the surrounding area. Really appreciate it, my friend. And a very happy July 4th to you.
Hey, you too, Gary. Let's get our flags out. I'll put about 40 of them along my yard. I'm excited to get them out tonight.
That'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it, and a good country to be in. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. Ryan Fox, Houston Fox Financial Advisory Services. When we come back, we change up gears, and we go from a guy that provides a lot of good advice on where to put your money to a guy that's got some advice on where to put your ants. Not aunts, ants. Yeah. And they're going to help me put the ants away today. I'm talking about Steve Shetter of TES Service, Total Extermination Services, and Exterminating Services, rather. And they're helping me out today, and he's going to tell you how he can help you out, and maybe even a few stories about what they've done for other people in terms of getting rid of those little pests. TES Services, Steve Shetter, up next with What to Do with Pests, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Three.
Julie Wheeler. Even people like you.
I am. Thank you. Good morning. We've got a baseball clip and a little bit of disco, and then you. All right. Hang on. Thank you, sir. So I'm going to play the clip from last night. You can promo the game tonight.
Got it.
Play a little bit of disco, and then boom.
Got it.
Four, three, two, one.
Here comes Swung on and hit in the air in left field. Alexander back, looking up to play, and it is gone! Alexis Omea on the ninth pitch of the at-bat. Homers over the corner of the arch nemesis. What a battle that was that he just won. York is on the board. It's 3-1.
Alexa Omea, one of the newest Revs. He's a backup catcher and hitting a homer last night, unfortunately. And not enough to overcome the 8-2 win that happened last night with Lancaster. So the Revs now 37-21, but they've already wrapped up the first half championship, but not looking to go backwards. So I guess I got to step in tonight and stop another losing streak of one game. I'm going to be in there tonight with Darryl, looking forward to it. I love doing play-by-play in the third and fourth inning, but I love doing the analysis as well, which is, going to happen tonight starting at 6:10, and then at 6:30, first pitch, as the Revs get a win tonight against Lancaster, the dreaded War of the Roses. Yes, across the Stormers in town tonight, and stormed last night a little bit all over the Revs, so we don't want that to happen again. But anyway, we got Disco Day today, too, and...
Anita Ward.
Yeah.
Ring My Bell.
Could ring my bell. Yeah.
There's a lot of bell ringing in the 70s.
Yeah, there was. The ring my bell in this is a little symbolic, I think.
Metaphor. Yeah.
He's trying to,
Ding dong.
get her interested, right? Yeah, get her interested. I guess that's what you'd say here, in a very nice way. Yeah. Welcome back, Gary Sutton Show here on a Wednesday morning. Steve Shetter is his company's ringing my bell today about 10 o'clock to come in and get rid of some pests this hour. Of course, being brought to you by TES, Total Exterminating Services, trusted local family owned, and Steve Shetter, of course, the owner. You can give him a call at 951-3868. And good morning, Steve. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I'm doing well. I'm trying to envision you doing the hustle, and it's a vision that I'll be working on today to get out of my head.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you can't rid yourself of that. I was very cool, though, with the hustle. I didn't do, I didn't try. A man's got to know his limitations, Steve, and mine are limitless when it comes to the hustle and the disco. I never tried to go beyond my limitations. So, it shouldn't be a real bad visual there. I was kind of cool about it. I just didn't try to do very much. Sometimes you just have to know, but my limitations also include not being able to get rid of pests like ants. And you were so nice. You came to my house last week. I got to experience the Steve Shetter way of just coming in and sitting down and looking around and talking about this. And I'll tell you what, I was very impressed indeed. And you have become my pest guy. And so today, you're sending in a team to get rid of those miserable ants. I was telling you about the little parade. My wife and I were telling you about the parade coming from the corner door to the outside patio the other week. I felt like I was listening to hi ho, it's off to, Bob the Suttons we go, and a little flags up and little drums going, but that's going to end today, right?
That is going to end today, Gary. We've got a great technician coming out to see you, and we've got a team of 6 technicians. I'm very proud of all of them, and they can take care of any pest issues that anyone has. I know we signed you up. I wanted to just mention that to your listeners that we had signed you up for our quarterly pest control program. And that's our most popular program that we have, and it covers 30 to 35 different insects and rodents. And we come in every 3 months. We do a top-to-bottom service for you. And the other nice thing with that is you can call us anytime in between, and it doesn't cost anything extra. If you have an issue, you're not due for a regular service for a month, you give us a call. We'll have your technician come out, take care of that issue for you, and you don't get a bill that day. So it gives you that year-round protection of a wide host of different insects and rodents.
And again, the number is 717-951-3868. But I was really impressed with that quarterly service. I said, that makes a lot of sense for us. I don't like to worry about stuff and having to schedule stuff. And I thought, well, this is a way of being proactive and staying out there and making sure you're kind of checking all the time. And, one of the questions that people ask me a lot, Steve, they say, you talk about that TES pest control thing. Said, what about our pets? I know you're very cognizant of pets when you come into home. And a lot of people worry about, well, would treatments bother the pets at all? Tell people a little bit about that, if you would, Steve.
Yeah, we have a wide variety of different programs that we can do. We offer organic programs if that's what the customer would like. But all the materials, when they are used safely, are and used properly and according to the label, are totally safe for pets, for children. And it's one of the things that we stress. Day one is the label is the law, and that's what we follow. And as long as we're following those recommendations, applying the materials properly, then yes, it's all totally safe.
Steve, you always have a pest story that you come up with. Do you have any for this week? Because people look forward to hearing those darn things.
Well, let's just say one of the things that we preach is make sure that you knock on the door before you enter the facility.
Oh, no.
I don't want to go too far into it, Gary.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we always make sure that we knock. We recently had an incident, I did personally, where I was asked to go into a property and into an apartment and assumed that no one was home and opened up the door, and we'll just leave it at that.
They were.
They were home.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we'll just stay away from that now.
We'll let everybody's imagination take it from there.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Good grief. Anyway, serving Lancaster, York, and Hanover, you are locally owned and operated. That's what I like about it. You know, I give you a call. You came out last week yourself and sat down with us and made everything very plain and clear and easy to understand. One of the things that you do, Steve, that I think is really, really exceptional and great for a small business, you give 1% of your net profits, you donate them to local charities. It's not always just the same charity, right?
No, we are not dedicated to one charity, Gary. We just try and help out in each community that we're in. We're in Lancaster, York, and Adams County, and we try and be part of each community, and that means helping out where we can.
The other thing you do, and people cannot accumulate this unless you've done it, you've walked the walk, you've talked the talk for 50 years in this business of pest control. So you've got the experience and you've got the results behind you, and that's something people need to know about your small business, right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's been my career since I was a young man, and I feel that we've got the knowledge, the experience, and we're local to be able to help anybody out.
And one of the things I think people will find out about you is you're very affordable. Your programs are designed to meet the needs of these people in Lancaster, York, and Hanover. You know what people are, packing in terms of bucks. You have a good idea about how to make it affordable and get people involved, especially with some of these quarterly programs like I signed up for last week.
Yeah, we think it's very affordable, especially compared to the big box cutter companies out there. So, we're not out to get rich. We're just out there to try and make a living and help people out.
Ladies and gentlemen, TES, Total Exterminating Services. Find them at testpest.com. They are residential and commercial pest control, so small businesses, you can get them in there. They'll do the job for you. You can give them a call at 717-951-3868. Write this down. 717-951, 951, forgive me, 717-951-3868. Or you can go to Steven, Steven, Shetter, Shetter, at testpest.com. That's Steven.Shetter at testpest.com. They're going to be at my home today at 10 o'clock. I'm taking care of the pests. You can too. And tell them Gary Sutton proudly sent you to TES, Total Exterminating Services. Steve, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Always appreciate it, my friend. And have a great July 4th, okay?
Hey, thank you. You do the same, Gary.
See you at 10, my friend. Steven Shetter at Total Exterminating Services. They'll take care of those pests for you. When we come back, Julie Wheeler, President Commissioner of the York County Commissioner, will tell us about the semi-quincentennial Bell commemoration. Say that 5 times fast. All here on the Gary Sutton Show, where it's 8:30.
3.5. We have a clip coming back, and it's not disco.
Okay.
This is a Radio VA News Update. The U.S. is halting some planned weapons shipments to Ukraine, citing concerns over declining stockpiles. The munitions were promised under the Biden administration, but the pause reflects shifting priorities under President Trump. A Pentagon review found levels of certain supplies.
I'm sure Putin will appreciate it.
Person said the move puts American interests first and insisted U.S. military.
Yeah, it's American interest.
The announcement follows recent U.S. missile strikes on Iran ordered by President Trump. The Pentagon has not specified which items are being withheld from Ukraine. A Pennsylvania state trooper has been charged with assaulting an infant and endangering multiple children. Christopher Stephen Young of West Calico Township faces charges including aggravated assault and child endangerment. Authorities say Young caused head trauma to an infant in his care and showed a pattern of abuse involving 2 other children. He also allegedly allowed kids access to firearms. Young, suspended without pay, is already facing charges for intimidating a witness. He was found armed near a witness's home back in February and is free on $50,000 bail. A 68-year-old Philadelphia school safety officer is in critical condition after being shot early Sunday while driving a marked district car. Police say he was likely hit by stray bullets during a nearby road rage shooting on Columbus Boulevard. The suspect fired from a white Kia Sportage at a rideshare driver. The officer, a retired Philadelphia cop, crashed into a tree. Commissioner Kevin Bethel says the top homicide detectives are leading the investigation to find the shooter. And Derek Gordon is staying in Philadelphia. The veteran guard re-signed with the 76ers on a 1-year veteran minimum deal Tuesday, just 2 days after declining his $3.4 million player option. The move saves the team cap space, reducing his hit to about $2.3 million. Gordon, the 17-year NBA veteran, was limited to 39 games last season due to injury, but remains a valuable shooter and mentor, especially in a first-round pick, BJ Edgecombe. I'm Juan Arango, and you're up to date with Radio PA. Recurring automated text messages consent not required to purchase. Later may apply. Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
We lowered testosterone.
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Eugenics Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me. I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real? Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels and helps you turn up and stay lean. And it's made a difference for you, man. I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom. Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves? Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text REST to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Eugenics Total T, the #1 selling testosterone.
Good morning, Jimmy. How you doing?
Text now, and we'll include a bottle of Eugenics
I will.
our most powerful fat incinerator ever to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text
Not a problem. I am already dialing some of it.
Sports Radio 98.9 and 1350 WOYK weather. Gradually becoming sunny today with a high near 86. Tonight mostly clear, low around 66. Thursday sunny, high near 88. Friday Independence Day sunny, high near 85. And Saturday and Sunday sunshine.
Here we go. Next, back to York's only local show on York's only local station, the Gary Sutton Show on Sports Radio 98.9 FM, 1350 WOYK.
Never has the screen been so big. Ever been in a cockpit before?
No, sir, I've never been up in a plane before.
Peter Graves. Ever seen a grown man naked? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. My name is Roger Murdoch. I'm an airline pilot. Leslie Nielsen. This woman has to be got to a hospital.
What is this?
That's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now. Lloyd Bridges. Johnny, what do you make out of this? This? Why, it's not. Bro, I turned down. Robert Stack. All right, Steve, let's make some blue facts.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your flight.
Julie Haggerty.
By the way, is there anyone on board who knows how to fly a plane?
Can you fly this plane and land it? Robert Hayes. Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I gotta get out of here. I gotta get out of here. Dad, get a hold of yourself.
Now get back to your seat. I'll take care of this.
That's the director's wife, a mother.
The most incredible adventure.
There you go. Airplane. Yeah. A lot of big time actors in this. And even a few NBA players like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That was funny because the kids say You look like Jabbar.
I'm Murdoch.
not Jabbar.
Yeah, I'm not. But he's sitting there in his Lakers outfit,
Yeah,
doing
right.
the, flying the plane. Yeah. There you go. Anyway.
We opened on this date, by the way.
Yeah.
How long ago?
Oh my goodness, that has to be back in the
45 years ago today.
70s.
1980.
Oh, was it 1980?
Yeah.
Okay, was that? Yeah. So there you go. And of course, we have the new. Is it a new airplane coming up, or is
No,
it new?
it's a new Naked Gun.
Naked Gun. Liam Neeson
Yes.
doing what? Leslie Nielsen. I'm waiting to see. I'm going to hold out. But he's been doing these
trailers.
Been doing the trailers, but Liam Neeson has been doing these movies recently about a very special talent. I just,
like Nielsen, he was more serious.
well, and maybe that's the kicker, that Leslie Nielsen was in a serious role before that. Here's Liam. No one's more serious than Liam Neeson is in the roles like in Taken and things like that. And now he's got this new Ice Road thing coming up in the sequel, and
that's a different. That's a serious role.
it is, yeah. But he's still being Liam Neeson killing people. So we'll see. Anyway, welcome back to the Gary Sutton Show, brought to you by this hour, TES, Total Exterminating Services. I'll have him out of my house today at 10 o'clock to kill the ants. Stephen Shenner, trusted local, family-owned when it comes to getting rid of pests. You can give him a call at 717-951-3868, and they'll come out to your home. And Steve will give you a free evaluation. By the way, residential and commercial pest control and locally owned. So give them a call today, 717-951-3868. Tell them Gary Sutton, a client, proudly sent you. And they're the sponsors of this hour of the Gary Sutton Show. With that, we turn to our President Commissioner of the York County Commissioners, Julie Wheeler, who's with us here this morning. Good morning, Julie. How are you? Well, you sound like that, and you're getting ready for the 4th, right? I mean, who's not happy about the 4th of July?
I know, absolutely.
Now, we also are getting ready for a little semi-quincentennial Bell commemoration. How do you like the fact I said that so fast?
You got that word down pat.
Semi-quincentennial, there you go. But tell me about that and what that's all about here in York County.
Yeah, sure. This is part of our History Made Here initiative, which honors 3 anniversaries. The county's 275th, which we kicked off last year, the country's 250th, and then the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Articles of Confederation, which will happen in 2027. So we've got a trifecta going on. So specifically, for the Bell dedication that's occurring next week, that's tied to commemorating the 250th anniversary of our wonderful United States of America. And it's a bronze bell. It's a replica of the original Liberty Bell. And one of the criteria from the American 250 PA Commission was that we put it in a location that had historical significance, but one that maybe hasn't drawn a lot of attention, right? I mean, we're all familiar actually with, Phil Goodrich, the Underground Railroad,
right.
The Colonial Courthouse. So Camp Security is the only remaining underdeveloped prisoner of war camp from the American Revolutionary War. First established in 1781, Camp Security held prisoners until the end of the Revolutionary War in 1783. So it's located out in Spring Township, contiguous to Spring Park. So it's a very nice location to dedicate our bell, to easy access for both our community and our visitors. And one little interesting history tidbit. Now, Jim McClure probably has a lot more on Camp Security than I do, but when I first started working for GE, I lived in Saratoga Springs, and there's actually a connection with Saratoga. So during the American Revolutionary War, when Camp Security was built, it was to occupy British troops that were captured up in Saratoga at the Battle of Saratoga in New York in 1777.
Wow.
I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. And so a great idea there. The that whole business. Also, July 4th coming up here, and York. While we were not around, the July 4th stuff there to get the Constitution done, we did start the first form of government that the Constitution actually replaced, right?
That is correct. That's what we're going to be celebrating in 2027.
And that was in 1777, 1778. And of course, the Articles of Confederation were in business, I believe, from 1780 to 1788, when they decided, well, they're a little unwieldy. They're not quite working totally the way we want them to work. And so they sent a little group of five states to, or five of the colonies to Annapolis to talk about that. Well, that eventually led to a constitutional convention in Philadelphia, which happened a little bit later on, and they decided to come up with this little thing called the Constitution. But we do have an association with the Declaration of Independence here, with two signers who are buried within a mile of each other right here in York, right?
Fantastic. You're going to be the next Jim McClure.
I will never be Jim McClure. I am a historian, but not anything like that, or even Jamie Norpel for that matter. Those two, they've got it all covered. But we got one who's buried in Prospect Hill Cemetery, who probably didn't intend to be buried in Prospect Hill Cemetery. He's Philip Livingston, who was a New Yorker. And then we have James Smith, who was a native of York, I believe born in Scotland, if I'm not mistaken, who was buried at the First Presbyterian Church's family plot right here in downtown York, right?
That is correct. And the Daughters of the American Revolution always host a little event on July 3rd commemorating his burial site there.
And you know, what they do is they actually have someone to read the Declaration of Independence, and I got a chance to read it one year. I was chosen as a guest to read that at First Pres, and that was one of the honors of my life. I really enjoyed doing that. Right there, you're standing next to the grave of a man who, you know, put his life on the line there, James Smith, and was one of the founding fathers of our country. I thought that was really, that's a neat thing right there. And a small group of people usually gather around there, but it is really a meaningful ceremony.
It absolutely is. I had the honor of doing that myself.
Yeah.
Very, very humbling, like you said, when you think about what you're reading and who's buried there, just the historical significance of that, and just helping us make what we are today in the United States. It's really, really cool.
What are some of the other things that are special that happen around this area at this time of year, Julie, that kind of strike you?
Well, you know, a lot of municipalities have their own, fairs, carnivals, July 4th, fireworks celebrations. Of course, Revolution, where you're at, has a program that's free to our community where they have the Symphony come in and play and have fireworks, which is, a lot of people like fireworks. I don't think dogs like that from what I've heard, but certainly human beings love to enjoy fireworks displays.
Well, in the 1812 Overture, which a lot of people play, and then you coordinate that with the fireworks or cannons in your particular area is one of the special things too, right?
Yeah, and for me, one of the things I always have liked about July 4th is secret hot dogs and Carmen's ice cream. So, two very York County things.
Oh, very York County. They were very York County names. That's correct. So, what else is coming up? What else have you been working on here lately?
Well, I do want to give a plug because it is First Friday coming up. So downtown York has a lot of activities planned for First Friday, all tailored around the July 4th holiday. So if you find you're looking for something to do, whether or not you live close to downtown, we encourage you to come check out those activities.
And check out downtown York, by the way. They are always brimming with wonderful ideas about places you can go and special events that are happening, and singing, poetry, you name it. It's all happening around the area, and keeping you up to date on all the various things related to July 4th. Julie, really appreciate you taking time for us this morning, and hope you and Mike have a great July 4th coming up here, and just a wonderful time. And we appreciate all you do throughout the course of the year. You and the other commissioners here, they just do a great job.
Thanks, Barry. I hope we get some golfing this weekend. It looks like it might be a weekend without rain.
That will happen, by the way. I'm playing a little July 4th tournament at a club you and I are both members at. So,
awesome.
Can
I see my spouse there.
I'm sure I will. He'll be walking quickly around the golf course, which is what he normally does. So, we'll look forward to seeing him. Thanks, Julie. Have a wonderful 4th. Take care now. Julie Wheeler, President and Commissioner of the York County Commissioners, right here on the Gary Sutton Show. Talking a little bit about the 4th. Yeah, we have these two signers of the Declaration who are buried within 1 mile of each other. You think about that with 58 guys who signed the Declaration? 2 of them right here in York. We'll take a break. We'll come right back with some final thoughts, some final stories, all here on the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK. It is the main street of York, PA.
3.5 right here
1350 WOYK, York. Sports Radio 98.9 and 1350 WOYK weather. Gradually becoming sunny today with a high near 86. Tonight mostly fair, low around 66. Thursday sunny, high near 88. Friday Independence Day, sunny, high near 85. And Saturday and Sunday, sunshine with highs in the upper 80s.
Extra NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Tight end Darren Waller is coming out of retirement to join the Miami Dolphins, according to NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero. The Giants are sending Waller a 2027 conditional 7th-round pick to Miami in exchange for a 2026 6th-rounder. Waller last played with the Giants in 2023 before announcing his retirement in June of 2024 after 8 years in the NFL. Pelissero says Waller recently informed the Giants he wanted to return, but only to play for Miami. The move comes just one day after the Dolphins traded tight end Johnny Smith and quarterback Jalen Ramsey to the Steelers for safety Nico Fitzpatrick. The top 100 players in 2025, voted on by the players themselves, is underway on X and NFL Plus. Spots 100 through 97 have been revealed and include receiver Class McConkey and Drake London, running back Aaron Jones, and defensive tackle Leonard Williams. Top 10 will be unveiled Sunday, September 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern, live on NFL Network. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion. So try making your fave from Oreo Crummy Pieces, Hot Tart, Strawberry Pieces, Strawberry Swirl, Brown Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Chicken. Now, so easy now for Caramel. Strawberry Frosty, Wendy's.
So that made the Chinese calling the smoke. Chewbacca, I said everything, you know, they excellent. They call me an American, I don't speak English, I think I don't speak American, but I don't speak
All right. Well, I guess this next back. Go. 1 minute.
Network. Milwaukee Bucks announcing a raising Damian Lillard, who's stretching a $113 million contract over the next couple of years, and that's allowing them to acquire Kyle Carter. I think that's to be honest with you, that's not really going to move the needle. I'm looking at this move as a flop for them and the Indiana Pacers. I'm Sean Bell from the BetMGM Network. Bet smarter, read the book. Download the BetMGM app today. For more than half a century, contractors and trade professionals have relied on WeatherGuard for
that's right. That's right.
Not just to protect their tools, but to protect their professional reputation. Whether it's inside or outside of work vehicles, a WeatherGuard badge means pros can trust that their hard-earned name is in good hands. Since 1968 and every day since, WeatherGuard has been protecting anything it takes to build a professional reputation. WeatherGuard, established in 1968, proven every day. WeatherGuard.com.
This is the Gary Sutton Show on WOYK.
Hammer time. Yeah.
No.
No? Not hammer time? Oh, no, it isn't. That's, is it Rick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rick James,
Rick
Super
James.
Freak.
Sounded like hammer time at first. I don't know why I even put that in.
They all kind of sound alike.
A little bit, yeah.
Yes, you know.
Yeah, it's disco day here. And welcome back, Gary Sutton Show here. By the way, somebody asked me, why wasn't Philip Livingston shipped back to New York after he died? He was a representative. Philip Livingston, by the way, he's buried up here in Prospect Hill Cemetery. He was one of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, along with James Smith, who is right there at First Presbyterian Church, not very far from where we're sitting. And neither is, we're right between the two of them, actually. Come to think of it, Philip Livingston's body was not returned to New York for burial because he died while attending a session of the Continental Congress in York, Pennsylvania, and was interred here. He was in York because the Continental Congress had relocated here after the British recaptured Philadelphia in 1777. And though his health was failing at the time, Livingston felt a strong sense of duty to attend the Congress during this critical time of the Revolutionary War. And he passed away in York in June of 1778, was buried at Prospect Hill Cemetery in the city itself. In short, he died far from his home in New York while serving his country and was laid to rest where he passed away. In those days, they didn't have a lot of refrigeration and stuff like that, and you couldn't. It was really hard to send the body back. Plus, by the way, he owed a lot of money at that time. His debts were up to here, and yeah. So I'm not sure anybody really wanted him back totally, but there you go.
Hey, it is World UFO Day. World Disco Day.
Right.
Made in the USA Day.
Right.
And the food holiday today, National Canned Luncheon Meat Day. Oh, actually, it's week. It's the entire week. National Canned Luncheon Meat Week.
Yeah.
So you could maybe have hot dogs and hamburgers on the 4th of July and maybe throw some Spam on the...
I like Spam.
It's too salty.
Do you think?
It's bad. That's for you.
I can tell you what, you put it on the grill, and I'm telling you, you can do some miracles with Spam. A little slider roll.
I will say this. I think if you were going to make, like, fried rice, for example, and you chopped it up into small pieces,
right?
That might be, you wouldn't have to add any salt to the.
So you're willing to kind of give it a go there?
Sure.
Always open-minded.
Yes. Yeah, I'm a big fan of pig ears.
By the way, there's a number of things happened on this date that are noteworthy.
Oh.
In 1776, for example, on July 2nd, 249 years ago today, Congress passed a resolution, quote, "These united colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states." Remember hear that? The final draft of the Declaration of Independence was adopted 2 days later on July 4th that included those words in. Also, 144 years ago today, in 1881, President James Garfield was shot. Now, it took 80 days for his assassin's bullet to kill him. He died of blood poisoning in September. Also, 88 years ago today, in 1937, aviator Amelia Earhart and her navigator Fred Noonan disappeared over the Pacific Ocean near Howland Island while attempting to make the first round-the-world flight at the equator. There have been all kinds of stories about what happened to her. Nothing has ever been definitively found of her or Fred Noonan. The only thing that I always thought was really, really weird was that they had that brand of luggage called Amelia Earhart luggage. And I was thinking, man, not exactly the greatest name for luggage traveling somewhere, right? I mean, you don't want your luggage to disappear. I mean,
notable is
it disappeared. I mean, I understand they wanted to honor her, but maybe found another thing to use other than that.
The good news, the name was available.
Well, it was available, yeah. And there you go.
I do have some news to report. I don't know if you heard Ryan talking about the ADP jobs report.
Yes.
And he said he was waiting for it. And I guess it's because of the holiday. They released it early.
Okay.
Payroll processing company ADP says there were 33,000 fewer private sector jobs in June. ADP bases its report on data involving more than 25 million U.S. employees. ADP's chief economist Neela Richardson says layoffs continue to be rare, but a hesitancy to hire and a reluctance to replace departing workers led to job losses. She says still the slowdown in hiring has yet to disrupt pay growth. Annual pay in June was up 4.4% from a year ago. The monthly employment report is released on Thursday.
So that it is a day, or the government report is usually on Friday, first Friday of the new month.
Kind of a mixed bag there when you listen to it upon first blush. And something else happened, by the way, which you may not be aware of. 38 years ago today, in 1994, soccer player Andres Escobar was murdered in his hometown in Colombia. Now, Colombia is not exactly the greatest place to live, but just 10 days after, you ready? This is what his crime was.
Okay.
Accidentally scoring a goal against his own team in the World Cup to give the U.S. a 2-1 victory. And apparently they don't like that in Colombia. One gunman said, "Thanks for the auto goal," before pumping 12 bullets into Escobar's body. After each shot, the murderer shouted goal. A little cold in Colombia, yeah. So there you go.
Some interesting news about Pope Leo. Everybody knows he was from Chicago, right?
Right.
Or is from Chicago. Well,
Ford greenlights
highlights the purchase of the now heavenly property where the first ever U.S. Pope grew up. Dalton Mayor Jason House.
It's a great start for our community. It's a great moment. It's a historic moment, once in a lifetime.
Some in Dalton believe it could resurrect the village's reputation following the chaotic administration of former Dalton Mayor Tiffany Henyer.
We actually have an opportunity for some good attention.
The current mayor says the village is already paying for extra police security in the area of the home due to a stream of visitors. Fox 32 reports officials are working with Wintrust Bank, which will essentially buy the house for the village to structure something of a mortgage arrangement that the village will pay back. See,
There you go. It's going to be a tourist attraction.
There you go. 28 years ago today, in 1997, legendary Hollywood actor Jimmy Stewart died in Beverly Hills, California, at the age of 89. Now, you say, well, why would you mention that, Gary? Well, he was one of the most famous actors that we ever had, but he was born and lived in Pennsylvania, out in Indiana, Pennsylvania, where we have mentioned several times ad nauseum that his dad owned a hardware store. That my father would mention ad nauseum, hey, there's a Stewart hardware store, and we drive through Indiana, Pennsylvania, before they had the bypass there. And that's where Jimmy Stewart was from, Indiana, Pennsylvania. So another Pennsylvania guy there, Jimmy Stewart, very famous, died on this date.
One final story, and this one about your health. House Call for Health.
They offer more than just an early pick-me-up. Scientists discovering caffeine doesn't just perk up the brain, it energizes cells in a way that could slow down aging. This according to research from Queen Mary University of London. Researchers studying fission yeast tested the effects of caffeine, exposing the yeast to various forms of cellular stress. Not only did caffeine extend the yeast's lifespan, it showed caffeine overrides certain DNA damage checkpoints, allowing cells to continue functioning while repairing damage. The lead researcher writes, these findings help explain why caffeine might be beneficial for health and longevity.
Fishing yeast?
No.
So we're supposed to be like fishing yeast?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, we are going to be coming up tomorrow with the Thursday show here on WOYK. It is our final day of the week. We'll be off on Friday, but I do want to thank Total Exterminating Services for sponsoring this hour. Stephen Shutter, you can give him a call, 717-951-3868. You can go to stephen.shutter@pestpest.com. They are residential and commercial pest control, 50 years of experience, and local, and a small family business who's doing the job right. They'll be at my house at 10 o'clock today. I hope you give them a call and check them out and tell them Gary Sutton, a client, proudly sent you. And we have Rebs baseball coming up tonight. 6:10 will be on the air. 6:30 first pitch. I'll guarantee you a win tonight. I'll be with Daryl tonight on that. Hope you have a great day, everyone. Be safe out there. I'm Gary Sutton. This is the Gary Sutton Show. It is 9 o'clock.
Okay.
On which we are.